What is up, everyone? Welcome to a very special edition of the Last World Trash Panda podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Rob, and with me, as usual, for the Last World podcast is my good buddy Carson. How's it going, Carson?
It's going good. It's going good. Happy to be a part of the Last World.
Yep.
At least we're on a world. You know?
Exactly.
That's something to look forward to.
Exactly. We didn't plan any of this out, by the way. I was just like, because usually I say Age of Sigmar Trash Panda podcast, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of got me for a loop there. Welcome everyone. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We were off for a couple of weeks. Thanks to Carson. Thank you for the lovely break. I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
It was great. But yeah, like a lot of, like nothing really happened. And we kind of kept saying like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter because nothing's really going on. We were probably just gonna make like a dumb tier list video or something like that. And then just everything happened kind of almost like some of the biggest stuff ever. And anyway, so we'll talk about it when the time comes. But first, we'll get through a couple of more minor, oh, by the way, shout outs to Ledivicus in case I forget. That was his thumbnail idea, which I totally pilfered. I was going to just straight up steal the image and ask him ahead of time, but it was too small. It was like blurry as soon as I got like even moderately sized on my computer screen. So, but thanks to him, it made it super easy to make the thumbnail. Did you see the rumor engine?
I did not. I'm looking at it right now. That looks very Lumineth to me.
It does. It does. They have like kind of a bonsai thing going on with their... Yeah.
Like with the mountain temple stuff, they usually, especially
Right.
that guy who's like hovering on the rock, the stone.
Oh, I know who you mean. The guy. Yeah.
Oh, the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Sylvaneth, but that would be weird considering that's like just about to.
Yeah, but Lumineth just got their thing too.
Well, they need their second and third battle tomes of the editions.
I forgot. Yeah, that was weird when they didn't get a second or a third one in third, and so they were like, "Okay, we got to make up for it, lost time here." So
didn't they, or was that second edition?
That was second edition.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm like pretty darn sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, everyone. Well, they didn't. Yeah, they got like a second one, and then they got like a thing in Broken Realms or whatever it was called, and so like, yeah, it was kind of like a third one, but that was like right before third. So maybe that's what you're thinking of, or maybe I'm just wrong. I don't remember if anyone had gotten a second battle tome in an edition, you would expect it to be Lumineth, but then I also would have expected to remember how much fun we made of them for making yet again another one, but we'll see. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're totally in agreement. It's probably, honestly though, this one looks almost cheaper or smaller than a lot of the stuff. Like it looks quite small and sort of cheap. So this might be an Underworld's warband for Lumineth because they did just get the thing. Too. So yeah. I don't know if this is covered ground or whatever. What up, Scotty? What up, Pat? Thanks for joining us. This one's going to be spicy. I was telling Carson ahead of time, we haven't talked about any of this stuff ahead of time, and I was just explaining like, I'm feeling a little spicy to Carson. He's like about to start explaining what he was thinking, but we saved it for online, so I don't really know exactly what he thinks, and he doesn't really know exactly what I think. So yeah, this should be interesting. But first, a couple of little smaller things to get out of the way. Daughters of Cain and Sylvaneth are getting their releases. It's exciting. Does anyone remember what the bet was? Like anyone who's watching this in the future at any point, can anyone remind us what our bet was? We made a bet, and of course we didn't write it down. We should just send it to someone, like one of us sends each other a message when we do this in the future, and then that way we can just remember. It's super easy, but we don't remember. So if anyone can remind us, I think it's 3 battle tomes or more before May, and I win, and 2 or less and you win. But we can't remember if that includes Sylvaneth or not.
Yeah, if we don't end up finding out what the bet is, I'm happy to just go halvesies on a bottle of whiskey and figure it out.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Or you buy me the whiskey you were talking about, and I'll buy you. Have you ever had Northern Harvest?
Is that Crown Royal?
Yes.
I haven't had it actually. I heard good things though. It won
It,
like whiskey, best
it
whiskey of the
did.
year, right?
It did
Yeah,
in 2000, I don't know, 15-ish or
yeah,
something. And I don't normally really like rye at all,
yeah.
but I actually genuinely like that whiskey. So
I've started to come to enjoy rye quite a bit. Um, I had like one rye that I kind of showed you, that Finnish one that I
yep,
brought,
yep.
which was really good. But most others I wasn't a big fan of, but I've
No,
started to enjoy them a lot more. So
it does make you angry, but then I think you get like your body acclimatizes to the anger, and then yeah. So either you're not feeling it anymore or you're enjoying it, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, like road
we're supposed
rage.
to tell people about that, but
Oh, I'm
that's
sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Is this like a Canadian secret?
yeah. Experiencing anger of any kind. Yeah,
Yeah, you know, through drinking whiskey, through drinking rye specifically.
right,
Yeah,
right. Normally we just like imbue it into our geese and
right.
set them free in the world, but
We so do. Geese are the worst. They're just the worst. Oh man, I'm glad we can just
do like a
export that
ritual
every
with a
year.
goose and then just
Yeah, exactly. That's where it
be
comes.
free, my
That's where
evil
it comes
spirit.
from. How
Yeah.
we make them angry is we give them a goose. We goose a goose,
Yeah.
and then we set out the evil into the world. And that's why we're so happy. You know, we're not as happy as the Finns. You know, there was just a thing showing like the happiest countries in the world or whatever, and like all the Norwegian companies are countries were like at the top of the list, and yeah, it was kind of interesting. Back to Sigmar super quick. Man, these daughters dice look kind of dope. Did you see them?
They're pretty cool. I like the way that they're like pearlescent but still red.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
up until they had a weird thing where like it felt like they started off like super wacky, like the giant,
Oh yeah.
like the really big like ogre dice and like the bouncy squig dice and like the weird lumineth dice and all that sort of stuff. And then they were
Deepkin.
like, okay, that's
Yeah,
too nuts.
yeah.
We got to go back to like just flat color with the faction symbol on it, and that's it.
So
That was
boring.
a little too boring.
Yeah.
And then now it seems like they're starting to like find
Just
a middle ground, which is good.
yeah, it's good. You know, I saw people complaining about the Sylvaneth dice, or I think it was someone on our thing. Whoops, where'd it go? There they are.
I think they're pretty cool.
I think they're fine.
Like
Like they might be a single color, you know, they might be that thing, but like it is like the kind of energy that they sort of show. So I think I'm okay with it, but yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, all the things are coming. We're getting lots of stuff, so that's cool. And then we did get shown. We're not going to talk about it because, like, you know, we get like these little tiny teasers. And if it were Skaven or something like that, or ogres, we would probably cover it. But like, we're just getting so many new things and whatever, and so we just don't really have time to talk about it. But it seems interesting. Did you read the article?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new traits for well, both armies really.
Yep.
Like yeah, they seem neat.
Yeah.
The
The
I think
Sylvaneth one seems
I've always-
very flavorful to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think both of them kind of do. Like I'm glad that because of what I didn't like about the Daughters of Cain Index was like with the blood rights just like happening every round kind of
Right.
thing. And they're just like, here's my buff every round, and it just gets better and better. And like instead of tying it to some like cool event or something like that, you know.
Yeah. And it's
you
been
think-
like that since first edition.
Yeah, you know, you
It's
can do
just-
so much with like a murder cult.
Yeah.
That isn't just like
Well, I mean,
You know.
and I get their original thinking is like, you know, the more people are going to die as the battle progresses, and that makes the murder god happy. But it's like, yeah, but it is automatic, like you said. Like it just that part is not very interesting. So yeah, no, I agree. It should be good. So that's really cool. And then the big announcements are coming tomorrow. Unfortunately, they seem to always do this right after we're doing a podcast, so we tend to do stuff on our predictions and whatnot. I mean, obviously they have all the patches and people kind of know what's going to happen. I'm really hoping because like apparently Spearhead is like the most successful part of Age of Sigmar. It's like the most universally praised, popular, best-selling thing in Sigmar. And so I'm really hoping that rumor of a cities versus Skaven box is true. You know, like that's what I really want. And it does make sense just because the Night Runners are super old and whatnot. But yeah, anyway, I think that's pretty much it.
I think so. You know, we can talk about our predictions for Adepticon later
Sure,
if we want to,
sure.
of course. But
I haven't even been thinking about it. I've been consuming Andy Weir. That sounds weird. I've been listening to reading his novels, and I haven't seen any of his movies. And I just finished, or not just finished. It was a little, a few days ago, a little while ago. What's it called? Project Hail Mary, and it's like one of the best books I've ever read. Like it just completely blew me away. It was absolutely amazing. And so I already bought the Martian a long time ago, and so I've just been like inside that world. So I haven't even been thinking about Sigmar at all lately. I've just been completely consumed by these amazing books. Like I had no idea how good they were going to be. Yeah, I mean, like we're only going to talk about. I'm assuming we're only going to talk about the Sigmar side of things. I mean, like we're almost certainly going to get the reveal CGI trailer for 11th edition 40K. Like all that crap is going to happen, And like I'm excited for it. It's supposed to be Blood Angels versus Orcs, which will be really cool. I like Orcs. The main thing that like keeps me away from 40K is kind of like the amount of models you need to buy to make like a 2,000 point army. It's like kind of egregious. So if they kind of like drastically lower what I would need to get into that game, you know what I mean? And or maybe I just get into Combat Patrol, like the new Combat Patrol, because like hopefully they learned a bunch of stuff from Spearhead, which they seem to do. Anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Is like the problem with 40K is twofold. Where, like you said, it's like way bigger in scale.
Yeah.
Of the game, and then Combat Patrol, to my understanding, is like not particularly great.
No. Yeah, that's
so
what I heard.
Maybe they'll revamp it and it'll become something better. But
yeah, because then I could just get like the Beast, Snaggas, Orcs, Combat Patrol, and I'm like, okay, great. Like this has all my favorite Orc models in them, or most of them, a lot of them. And then that way, like that tides me over for 40K Orcs. Because I was looking at the StarCraft miniature game that they're showing, and it's like so low model count, Like what? It looks, and I love StarCraft. I was a huge StarCraft nerd. So I don't know. I'm kind of tempted by that too, but
I'm kind of surprised that they were like legally able to make a StarCraft miniatures game.
Yeah, kind of.
That
Yeah,
happened between Games Workshop and Blizzard.
Yeah.
For StarCraft.
I mean, I guess they've diverged so far. Like they made, the MMO off of the RTS game, and now there's been movies, and like they've kind of developed their own lore far enough now that, I don't know.
It just feels like such like tempting GW to like get litigious or something like that. Like
I mean, but now Blizzard's like more powerful than they are. They've got like 250 hardcore lawyers, whereas GW only has like 210 or whatever. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, you win based on your it's like they're playing like one person's playing like a 2,000 point game, and the other person's playing like a 2,500 point game. They're just like, well, I can't beat this. That's my theory.
That's true.
Yeah. Back to the preview show though. What do you think we'll see, and what do you want to see?
I would like to see new ogres, obviously, but we're kind of running out of things left. I think there's only 6 or 7 factions remaining for them to do.
Which is crazy. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it is really cool. Based on the screen that you're currently on, we see the Cities of Sigmar logo right there. So I think that's a pretty slam dunk.
Yep. And there's a Lumineth thing on the backside too. There's a Lumineth ruin.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I remember Matthias pointed out like which ruin it was, but I can't remember what it was. Maybe it's for like Underworld something. But
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, too.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll see Cities of Sigmar, probably like the cog fort that's been rumored and stuff like that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat. I don't know if we're going to see much else. I feel like this is going to be a pretty 40K dominated reveal.
But aren't they going to do the 40K thing at the end?
It depends. Like, do we think that they're going to show off the whole, like, here's the 40K starter box? And
so far, they've only ever shown a CGI trailer, and it's always been like, oh, one more thing. And then they do the thing that everyone knows that they're going to do.
Right.
Yeah, so it's usually Adepticon is like the CGI trailer only. So, like, I could kind of see this being almost AOS dominated, Because like they're already doing their 500 worlds thing. I mean, unless they got more down the pipe for that, you know. But they got to start up the hype engine. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think that we're going to be seeing?
I don't know. I think we'll see. I think we'll see like 2 AOS things, and what that, you know, like it'll probably be like Cities of Sigmar book, and they're getting a cog fort terrain piece or whatever, right? Like, which is kind of like a small thing, and then so I'm thinking we'll probably get like a small thing like that, and then maybe a big thing.
I think the cogport's going to be pretty big, and I think there's going to be other stuff for Sigmar too.
That you might be right. You might be right. I'm not saying that cities is going to be the small thing. I'm going to say like there's going to be a small thing where it's like a book plus like a model or whatever, and then there's going to be a big thing. So like maybe the small thing is like, man, what's another faction that hasn't giants? Giants. Let's say giants.
Yep, giants or Slanesh or
yeah. So like giants gets like a book and like a model, you know, maybe a new man crusher or something like that, which would be kind of big for them because it's literally like half of their range is getting refreshed. But whatever, let's put that aside for a second. Giants was the only thing I could think of, right? And I just didn't want to say it about Seraphon because I love Seraphon too much. I don't want it to be the small thing. I wanted to have a big release, but it's probably not going to happen. Anyway, moving on. So there's a small thing and then there's a big thing. That's my prediction. So like, yeah, something with like a lot of models and then something with like a small amount of models, but 2 books as well. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I could see that. But I could see it. Makes sense to me.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Is it time?
I think so. Yep.
There's not nearly enough spice in this channel. I just want to say a quick shout outs to Chapter Master Valrak. I don't know how to say his name. I needed stuff for doing this podcast, and he had a very concise video on it. It was like, how long? Like 10 minutes, according to this thing here. And then he also had the screenshots. So there's like a bunch of stuff that went up on TGA that Boole posted. And then it's all gone now. So without this video, I couldn't even like show you guys what was said on there. So I screenshotted a bunch of stuff from him. So shout outs to him. I'm going to shut off this tab now. Okay. Wait, did I go back to the start? I don't think I did. One second. I did not. I was testing to make... I don't know if you guys can tell, but I revamped the... Oops. Darth Maul Shadow Lord. I was really excited. I'm really excited about the Darth Maul show that's coming out. And so I said it to myself. And then so that's how I got these things. Anyway, so this all comes from a post on TGA. Boole, apparently a very... has had very reliable information come out before. So all this comes from there. I did not have a chance. There's Ladivicus. Shout outs again to you. I did say it earlier, but thank you I stole his idea for the thumbnail. So if you like that, shout outs to him. I was also thinking about doing like my own stupid comment of like we promise this is the last time we blow up a fantasy world. And then I put like in quotes, and then I put like GW 2014 and 2026 or whatever, because they keep just blowing up their fantasy world. They can't stop. They got a taste of it 10 years ago, and then they're just like, no, this is too good, too much fun. So, but yeah, so it's pretty crazy. Like Andy was the first person. I had a lot of work going on yesterday, and then Andy. So I turned my phone off of Do Not Disturb, and I always look at people's direct messages first. And Andy's like, hey, like there's some crazy rumors going on, like this, that, and the other about Age of Sigmar. And I was like, that's total bullshit, man. Like, there's no way. Like that all sounds ridiculous. And then he's like, no, like look at the Discord chat. Like, it seems like it might be real. And I was like, what? And I'm reading it and I'm going like, this is crazy. But it was also like, the game of telephone where everything like just changes little by little. So who knows? But yeah, I guess we'll get into it. Should I just read this out and we can kind of react to it as we go along? Or actually, do you want to like, because have you read you kind of know the basics of it, right? Do you want to give your your high level view of it?
Yeah, I think going into this, there's a couple things that we have to like preface.
Yep.
Um, like number one is that this is all rumors and we have no idea if this is true.
Absolutely.
Even though it is Bool, and Bool has been like very reliable in the past with like the stuff that they've shared.
Right.
But another thing to keep in mind is that Bool themselves have essentially admitted that they like don't like AOS at all.
Yep.
And so all of the text that you're reading isn't like verbatim fact,
right.
even if it is true.
Right. Totally. That's a great point.
Isn't like AOS's retelling of something that they might have heard.
Right.
Essentially. Right.
Yep. Yep.
So it's going to be negative when it's presented.
It's going to be done through a negative lens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the important thing is to kind of like latch on to the ideas, like the core ideas that are there, and then think about how that might apply to the.
Couldn't agree more. Yep.
To the universe as a whole, because like even think about something substantial happening in the lore, like the Necroquake a little while back.
Yeah.
Like if someone learned in some meeting somewhere that Nagash is going to like blow up the mortal realms, that's functionally the same as what we've heard in this.
Yeah. Or he's going to try to.
Yeah, we're going to try to. Yeah. And, you know, it'll spawn some crazy magic thing happening. It's like, it would be very easy for someone who doesn't like the setting to spin it in a way that's like quite negative.
True.
Right?
Yep.
So that's something that I want.
To Bool's credit, though, too, they're very upfront about saying that they don't really like what I forget what they say, but it's in the post, so it's not like they are trying to. Cause I just realized it's a bunch of people. It's not one person. But yeah, that's a great point. And also, like, I don't think it doesn't seem like we're losing our game, right? So
yeah, it doesn't seem like that at all. I think to me, what it sounds like is like these are rumors of a giant lore change, essentially. Right. And I guess the more specifics we get into, the more we can kind of discuss about that. So
right,
yeah.
Right. No, I think my outlook, because I've been playing since the GHB came out, and I didn't start playing because the GHB came out. It just coincided with me losing all my material possessions and then Skaven not existing in Total War, and that's how I got back into wargaming. So, you know, like I have been in there from pretty early on, you know, since there was points. But when I came into it, everyone was super negative about Age of Sigmar. It was called Age of Shitmar by like the whole local community, and you know, most of the people were playing 8th edition still because there were no points for Age of Sigmar. They had just come out when my apartment burned down. So like I've been in there. I've been there with like these whole like shit disturber, you know, like dick bags from the beginning, and like those people still think like that. If you go onto an old world post, you know what I mean, and someone brings up Age of Sigmar, there's always people responding like crapping on our game. They're still out there, and so there's a lot of like malevolence for Age of Sigmar, but that doesn't change the fact that when they did blow up, when they actually blew up the old world and made Age of Sigmar, that first year was a shit show. It was terrible. They didn't even have points. Like, that's crazy. Like, we think about that now. They had 4 pages of rules. Originally, it was going to be like 6 or 8 or 12 pages. I can't remember what it was. Way more pages, like from 50% to like triple the amount of rules that they could have had. And then, you know, whatever, right? So, it is what it is. But, you know, it does seem like we are going to talk about, we're talking about in change-wise is the lore. So having said all of that, with all of that out of the way, I'll start to read this through. I think my takes are going to be like maybe a little bit spicy, but like also, I mean, I keep saying it over and over again, it's going to be fine. Like at the end of the day, it's going to be fine. Like, we're absolute worst case scenario. Let's say they do change the game. They completely reboot the game. They put it back to rank and flank. And like all these things happen that like are going to stop us from playing. Well, then we just play 3rd edition or 4th edition or whatever your favorite is until they bring back the game. Like we already seen the blueprint of how this can be changed by the old world community. Like, they kept their game alive. So it literally is going to, no matter what happens, it's going to be fine. I want to just say that, right? Okay. This is from Bool's post, screenshotted from Chapter Master Valric. We received word about this a while back, but along with it came a flood of conflicting information. In hindsight, those inconsistencies were probably just staffers throwing up smoke because they were in shock themselves. The worst version of the story is one we'd rather not post here. It wouldn't accomplish anything, just break the hearts of fans and undo years of AOS's momentum. But after getting some images and transcriptions of the actual text from the PDFs, we had a discussion internally and can confirm Rob on YouTube, probably Honest Wargamer Rob, and the Discord member were accurate. I'll be up front. The people behind this account, meaning us, were never fans of AOS. More than a decade ago, we were outright hostile to it. But even we are furious at how this turned out. The dumbest scenario imaginable is happening all over again. Warhammer Fantasy Battles won't pay for this, and AOS fans will be absolutely livid. Now, let me just stop them right there. You can't speak for us. You hated the game. You know what I mean? You've always been kind of hot, or you've always been like you said, like looking at it through a negative lens. Don't tell us how we're going to react to something that's being telephoned out to us. It's kind of crazy. Like, we'll be the judge of that. The community will be. I mean, people do tend to react to stuff like this in a negative way. And there's, because of, partially because of like how things have been mismanaged, but also just because of the way the internet is, there's a lot of like hate on Games Workshop YouTube channels and like things like dedicated to this, like Discourse Minis, which is a channel that I used to consume because they were the only ones covering Batman the miniature game, which I like and have some miniatures for, but they just kind of turned their channel into like just hating on GW, and I was just like, oh, I'm not here for this. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, if you're a fan of Age of Sigmar, you're more likely to receive this in a positive light, to be honest, because people from the Age of Sigmar community have been the ones going like, I don't care. I enjoy this game and I'm here for it. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Do you want to say anything about this? Well,
yeah, it feels kind of like preemptively inflammatory. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It almost feels like it's designed for clickbait in a way.
Yeah, if it weren't like a post that subsequently was deleted and is exactly. No monetary value, you'd be like, oh, this is totally clickbait.
Yeah, exactly. So it's weird to frame it like this in general, but yeah, right. I guess we can proceed.
Okay. What makes it worse is that AOS has never been a commercial failure. I do like that they're giving us credit for that, by the way. Has never been a commercial failure, which is true. Last time something like this went down, and you all know what I'm talking about. Just say the end times. Anyway, sorry. I shouldn't be editorializing while I'm reading, but it was because Warhammer Fantasy Battles had become a genuine commercial disaster by a certain point. That's what pushed the higher-ups into making a reckless decision. Again, this is hearsay, but whatever. AOS, though, it's never fallen that low. From what we know, since 2018, it's been Games Workshop's second biggest product line after 40K. For Warhammer Fantasy Battle fans like us, is wild. Even if we don't like admitting AOS counts as Warhammer Fantasy miniatures, internally it's been labeled as the greatest Warhammer Fantasy product. Again, I'll give them credit for giving credit where credit is due. Like, they're absolutely right, and I appreciate that about them. So none of this makes sense. The people still at GW who gave us info don't get it either. Most of the people who have worked on AOS are baffled, but maybe Phil Kelly leaving was the first sign of what was coming. Phil Kelly didn't leave Games Workshop. He left like the creative team. He was the head of Age of Sigmar's like creative universe, and he has now left that to go over to the 40K universe and become the head of 40K, which is very interesting. I will have to say, like, that is like some of this kind of gives more credibility to the basics of this, because that is true. it was confirmed. So, yeah. Anything to add? No. Okay.
Nope. Yep.
We were going to wait until after Adepticon to announce any of this because this is definitely going to trigger internal investigations at GW, but we just can't hold it in anymore. We think it's time to lay everything out. As we posted a few days ago, Slaanesh is free. I thought Slaanesh was already free when they got their Battle Tome in 2nd edition, but whatever. Yeah.
I genuinely have no idea. That's
yeah.
too
Well, I mean,
morbid,
like, yeah, fair enough. I mean, I remember they pulled everything out of Slaanesh's belly, and that's the Deepkin and Daughters of Cain and Marathi herself and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, Slaanesh is free. The realms have been mapped. The cities of Sigmar, the Chorfs, they're not gone. Of course they're not. They just came out. Because all of those known locations are being merged into a single planet, a battle world. The realms have been combined. 80% of what AOS has spent over a decade building is gone. And yes, this is all thanks to Archaon and the Skaven. Again, after all of it, only the Skaven can call themselves winners. Their lore and their new model range stay exactly as they are, and they definitely come out on top. Okay, I just want to say that, like, this is the most obvious thing. Of course, the Skaven are going to come out on top. They're the best. You know, they came out on top in the end times, in the world that was, and of course they're going to come out on top now. Like, why wouldn't they? This is obvious, okay? So, but this is because of how obviously awesome and superior the Skaven are. Like, it's kind of like saying, okay, well, they're going to retire the resin ogre models. It's like, okay, well, obviously that's going to happen. Are you guessing, or are you just saying the obvious? The Skaven coming out on top. So yeah. Anything to add for this section? Slaanesh, Battle World, realms being combined.
No, I think more context probably, which I think follows, is needed.
Yeah, we're only on slide 3 out of 8, I think.
800.
800. That's what it feels like. After the gates of Azir were breached, Archaon destroyed everything. Anything you can think of in that realm was utterly annihilated by the Everchosen. But at the last moment, Sigmar pulled the trigger on a big plan he's been preparing for centuries. He always wanted to merge the realms into a single new planet. He always wanted that? Do we know that? Anyway. And in the final hour, he went through with it. So here we are. As for what happened to Sigmar, Archaon killed him like you'd crush a child. His death is written to be even more infuriating. Again, this is like, anyway, whatever. Than the death of Sanguinius in The End and the Death, which is the name of a novel, or a couple of novels. You can tell whoever wrote this had it out for Sigmar, and maybe for AOS in general. Again, this is huge, like, hearsay. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy hearsay, but like, the only thing is so like, if the basics or the bones of this are true, let's say Archaon does kill Sigmar, can you even call it Age of Sigmar anymore? Like, I know about the last world, I know like that whole thing, right? But like, there's different theories on how that'll work out. It'll be either Age of Sigmar, the last world, it'll get like a colon movie title style name, or it'll just be called the last world, which is like,
Did gods die in Age of Sigmar? How does that work?
Well, that's the thing, right? Because Nagash was killed by Teclis or something, right? He keeps dying. He keeps getting killed, and he keeps coming back. So yeah, it's like if they kill Superman in DC, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, he's not going to stay dead. Like, I remember when that happened in the 90s, no one thought he was going to stay dead, you know? Like, it's even more true now, right? So
yeah. Because part of me wonders, like, would it mean that maybe it's like a God Emperor of Mankind type situation where the power of Sigmar still exists and like looks over humanity or something?
Right.
Or maybe in Age of Sigmar it works different. This again is like a little bit over my head as far as like the lore goes.
Right.
But yeah, like I wonder like how a god dies.
Well, that's it, because like Slaanesh kills all the elven gods at the end of the old world, swallows them swallows them up into its belly, and then Marathi goes into the belly. Or no, she was in the belly too. She was part of that whole thing, and then she gets out, and then she goes back in and she kills. Like they insinuate that she kills, like gives final death to like a bunch of, I don't know if they were gods. I don't think they were gods, but anyway, yeah. Can you like that? That's a good question. We don't know. Yeah. Objection to Gash is irrelevant. That's true. The Skaven make that clear. Nope. Rob's fault. Rob from Honest Wargamer did nothing wrong. Okay. The Sigmar does want to combine the realms into a planet. Oh, okay. Ludivicus, thank you for the correction. Apparently there is lore that he's wanted to. I don't know. When did that come out, though? That's interesting, though. The realms were cool and interesting, in my opinion. Sad if they are gone. I totally look forward to all the peoples who never read the fluff saying it's more interesting. Insert eye roll here. Okay, I'll get into that later, Keith. But I do have my own take on that. Because I am a anyway. Are anything to add to this bit? Keep going.
No, I don't think so. Keep going.
Keep going. I think some of the slides are going to get smaller here, but what about the Stormcast Eternals? I don't think they can reforge anymore. Their god is dead. The Elven Pantheon? Question mark. Nagash? Question mark. The Ancestor Gods? Question mark. Gorka Morka? Question mark. All unaccounted for. Maybe Archaon killed them too. The whole thing is weird, right?
It's like, you don't know? You're
Yeah,
coming
I
up
know.
with this gigantic announcement.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
know that information?
Exactly.
Odd.
And also, I don't think they can reforge anymore. I mean, I don't know. Like, it was by Grimnir's technology, and like, don't we know from second edition that it's like the other chamber that reforges them anyway? Like,
Yeah.
I can't remember. Like, I think they've kind of, redone stuff. I remember like that chamber was I can't what were they called again? The one that they just retired.
Sacrosanct?
Sacrosanct. Thank you. Sacrosanct chamber. Like, because I did read Soul Wars by Josh Reynolds, and I'm pretty sure I remember that it was those duders and dudettes that were doing that. Anyway, yeah. This just asks questions. It doesn't really give any information. It's just like,
I think it also kind of loses credibility in the whole thing, to be honest, because it's just like they're making this crazy claim. So that Boole in the past has been someone that I think a lot of us have looked to for like extreme specifics and accuracy.
right.
But this is like, it seems like taking one core nugget of information and extrapolating a whole bunch of random stuff from it.
Right.
Because they're
Yes.
asking questions like this without any answers whatsoever.
Right.
And essentially blatantly assuming the worst
Right.
in front of all of us.
Right.
Which is, it just comes across as like weird and like discrediting their own claims. So I don't quite understand.
I don't know. I think this is what they're thinking. Also, Boole is not one person. It's like some kind of collective. We don't know how many people, but more than two, I think. But like, so yes. No, I agree. I can't remember what I was going to say, but that's fine. I'll move on and maybe it'll come back. With the realms destroyed, Slaanesh is back among the dark gods, and they've accepted the Great Horned Rat as one of them. How many times are we going to hear that the Great Horned Rat is finally accepted? Like, this is crazy, right? When the Skaven book first came out in like second edition, and then I forget when it was, and then I remember in fourth edition, at the start of fourth edition, they're like, he's finally accepted, and now apparently he's finally accepted again. The five gods stand eternal. This new world is called the Last World. Its continents are made up of the regions that had maps in the 8 realms, stitched together, and the whole thing is a blatant, low-quality rehash of Warhammer fantasy battles. For example, the great nations of Hysh, home of the Lumineth, now exist as an island nation in the middle of an ocean. That will be funny if that's true. If it's just Ulthuan, but in Age of Sigmar, and like even if it even like looks the same, like with like that kind of, yeah. Anyway, That would make me laugh. I'm not going to lie. Cities of Sigmar have basically turned it back into the Empire, fragmented, ignorant, religiously fanatical, and racially divided. Yeah. Anything to add? No.
Nope.
I'm looking to you for some quality time where I can have a sip of water and
I'm sorry.
relax my voice. Thank you.
Yeah, because this reaches back into the Warhammer Fantasy Battle stuff, which I'm like not that familiar with.
Oh, that's fair.
When it comes to the lore and stuff like that. I guess it would be funny if it's an island, but do you know how many island nations exist in all of fantasy? Like I guess it's a coincidence. That would be funny.
True.
And maybe it's put in like the exact same spot that it was or something.
That'd be great.
Yeah. But
it's like almost like they're poking. They're honestly almost if this is all true, it almost feels like they're more poking the bear of the Warhammer Fantasy Battle crowd than any of us. Because we're all fine. You know what I mean? We were fine to begin with. We will remain fine most likely, or most of us will. But so. What this actually, I'll save that for the end. Hopefully, I won't forget. But moving along, Cities of Sigmar. Oh, oops! I copied that part twice. We're pretty sure a lot of the characters AOS fans know and love died in the last world. They're not coming back. As for Archaon, I'm pretty sure they said that about Gotrek, by the way. As for Archaon, I'm not sure. The information we got about him was almost comical. The Everchosen is gathering a chaos army at a portal in the far north of the last world, which is, for people that don't know, the far north is where the Chaos Wastelands are. So it would mirror the old world or Warhammer Fantasy Battles, if that's true. I'm not even sure if that Everchosen is Archaon, but it sure sounds familiar. Who's going to pay for this? AOS fans, will you? The only advice I can give right now is, after all these lore changes, you're still willing to buy into AOS. 5th edition will have way more SCE models with a grimmer, darker aesthetic than 4th, and a ton of Chaos Warriors covered in spikes and Chaos Monsters. So I guess they're insinuating that this is going to be in line for 5th edition.
There's those M dashes again.
Yeah. I mean, I use them in real life, so I don't find it like,
it's just weird.
Yeah. It's like, that's they shouldn't be using it like here with will you, but I feel, does AI not know that?
I don't know.
Like, I feel like weird. Using it improperly is probably a sign that it's just an idiot. Although, you know what I will say? There's been a lot of weird capitalizations of stuff that shouldn't be capitalized, I noticed. And I use voice typing all the time on my phone because it's just faster and I can do other things and walk around and stuff. And it capitalizes and adds punctuation where I don't want it to. Like, no one would ever want it to. And it drives me crazy. So maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Just up to this point, it just feels like.
But it is coming from Boole, though. Yeah, I know that's true. Yeah,
I'm building a narrative myself now, where this just feels like some, like Grognard's old Warhammer Fantasy Battle player that hates AOS, that's just salivating at the fact that something bad might happen.
Right.
And they're just like, what are you gonna do, AOS players?
Are
you gonna?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't care. It's a lore development. Like, we'll see what happens. Like, why would a company intentionally blow up its own successful product? That makes no sense whatsoever.
It's true. I mean, but they are asking you specifically, Carson, because I believe you have all the lore, Broken Realms books. I think you found an old copy of Malign Portents books. Course. Yeah.
Yep.
You hunted them down on eBay, I believe, a signed copy. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll keep going, but there's one more slide. As for the rest, we don't know. That's all we wanted to say. We're exhausted and we're still figuring out if we should scrap this account. This is so big, it's definitely going to come back on us. We have no idea if GW will change anything about 5th edition over the next 2 years, but the first draft is done and we've seen plenty of concept art. So odds of a major rewrite are probably low. What does...
They're basically saying that they've seen 5th edition and that this probably won't apply to 5th edition.
Oh,
Like it's not going to be like a new game for 5th edition or something.
oh, is that what they mean?
I think so. That's what I interpreted it
But
as.
then what did they see then?
Like some lore development, like years and years down the line, I think.
Oh, they're saying like it's not even for 5th. They're saying it's for further down than 5th.
I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in my mind, I'm like,
But if it's more if it's further away from than 5th, then
it's like
it doesn't.
5 years from now,
Yeah, exactly.
at least.
Probably. Or like let's say it's even 2 years away, then it's nothing is set in stone anyway. Like they could just scrap all of that and apparently they are. So there was another. Oh shoot! I shouldn't have closed down that. So there was someone who responded to this, and they claim to be a writer on the lore for 5th edition, which they say that they're like still working on. Sounds roughly right. Them planning it about a year in advance. And they're saying that Bull is blowing everything way out of proportion.
Yeah.
That sounds
It's
right.
Just the amount of personal takes and animosity that's been included in all of this information just makes me kind of not want to pay attention to it.
Right.
It's like I can pay attention to what the final product ends up being,
Right.
which is probably going to go through many iterations of like many creative people refining it. Or I can pay attention to someone who hates the system giving me the cliff notes.
Right.
I'm like, why would I do that? Like it makes no sense to get riled up about this.
Oh no.
When it's
I mean, I've been saying from the beginning, it'll all be fine. At the end of the day, we're still going to have a game. And even if they don't give us that for some reason, then we just do what Warhammer Fantasy Battle players and I've got a lovely friend of mine, Jeff. Shout out to Jeff. We just played a game of the Old World on Saturday, and he has Ossiarch Bone Reapers, but like his overwhelmingly favorite game is Warhammer Fantasy and the Old World. And no one, like none of us in Age of Sigmar have ever had a problem with someone just preferring another game. It's the only thing we ever really had a problem with is when people are just trying to take a shit and ruin our good time, and so like he was even saying like, yeah, we, like I'm fine with just playing the Old World and stuff with him, because like, like I have a bunch of friends that I can play Age of Sigmar with, but he's the only one that I mean, some people are gonna play. Like I know Selwood is talking about, or he played the Old World. It doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm getting way off topic here. But like, yeah. Anyway, it does. I totally agree with what you're saying. Anyway, I'll finish this off super quick. If you will change anything about 5th edition. Like, oh yeah, I did read that out. The one silver lining, and I mean the only one, is that the last world will have several new human factions. AOS not Grand Cathay, AOS not Nippon, which is Japan, and AOS not Bretonia. That does sound cool to me. Like some kind of...
They said that is bad stuff. I'm like, why is that bad? Cathay rocks. Like
No. Oh no. They said the one silver lining.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay,
so
that's fair.
Yeah. And I mean, Bretonia, like people love Bretonia. Like you love Bretonia. Like I know a lot of people that are super into Bretonia. So like an AOS take on Bretonia or Japan or China sounds really freaking cool to me. I would be totally down for it. Like we do have a lot more like, and this isn't like some kind of like political thing. I just mean like, naturally speaking, we have a lot more Western style fantasy, and it would be really cool to have some Eastern vibes in our fantasy as well. We've got kind of like semi-Japanese looking Ossiarch Bone Reaper guys in with Catacross, and some like Shinto looking priests in our vampires, the Skirgan Trueblades, and we've seen like a few hints here and there that maybe not everything is super Western, but I don't know. I just that sounds really interesting to me. But having said that, yeah, I mean, like, if this is coming that far down the line, we have no idea what's going to happen. And also, like, I wanted to say too, like, it's possible. Like, I've been talking about this for a long time, but like, I think if I were running GW and I was tired of these leaks, I would do poison leaks. Right? So like, all of these scraps could be just various poison leaks, and they're just trying to figure out who knows what. Right? And like, this is the way you do it. This sounds like an excellent trap. So they might be getting, like, they might have actually heard this information, and that's why it's conflicting. And then they're like, oh, it was you, and you. Got it. You know, probably fired, maybe lawsuits. Like we were just talking about how litigious GW is. But, and here, and I'll go back to the chat. Sorry, guys. I've not been, you know, I've been trying to get through all of this. And so I just want to give my take real quick. I have consumed Age of Sigmar lore from the beginning. I've never been a fan of Stormcast Eternals and their lore. I think anything where they get less human and forget things is just inherently uninteresting to me. The closest I ever got was at the start of 2nd edition with the whole Sacrosanct thing. Now I'm really glad I didn't, because they scrapped that whole line. But that book by Josh Reynolds made them sound more interesting. But then at the end of the day, the reason why I didn't get into them, I got into Nighthaunt instead because my kid liked Nighthaunt. But also the most interesting story in there was the fall of a what do you call it? Of a Stormcast Eternal becoming a ghost and becoming a whatever, the guy on foot. And so like, but I've followed it from the beginning. I'm a massive fan of 2+ Tough. I read every battle tome that I get. I read the lore in it, almost cover to cover, for most part. I have consumed many Age of Sigmar novels. So I say this as someone who has played almost from the beginning, has been into the lore from the beginning, and has a love and appreciation of the setting and the stories that are in there. Age of Sigmar's lore is the worst part of the game. And what I mean by that is, like, I think that the game, the rules, compare favorably than their number one selling game, which is 40K. I have more fun playing Age of Sigmar than any other game. Okay? Our models, I think, are by far the best. And I don't even think it's close. We have more originality, better sculpts, more talent, more interesting, less homogenous models, period. We've had more new armies, more creative things happening in the modeling space. We've gotten terrain, faction terrain. We've gotten endless spells for a lot of factions. We've just got a much better designed game and even better models. I think like, in my opinion, again, this is all my opinion, that's why the camera zoomed in on me, is that we have the best of those two things. But the lore, even though I'm an enjoyer and someone who has actually promoted the lore more than most people, like per whatever, right? Like I've done videos on like how to get into Age of Sigmar lore, and I've been a huge proponent of its lore. But having said that, you know, and it makes sense for them. I'm not even blaming GW for this, but they put most of their eggs in the 40K basket because their lore makes an insane amount of money, and it's been translated into a bunch of different languages, and it makes almost as much money as their models do, right? And that's where all like the licensing goes to. And like, that's really kind of a tip, I think, too, right? Is like, you have like because the lore creates the licensing, right? So 40K is the most popular, so that's why you have, you know, Space Marine 2 and all these amazing games, right? And you kind of know a part about this, but where I'm going with that too is that this whole thing might be a way for them to go, okay, we need to figure this shit out, because Age of Sigmar does rock. It's awesome, but we need to do something to shake things up so we can start bringing people into the lore. Because the fact of the matter is that the old world lore, it basically sells better, like, you know what I mean, than Age of Sigmar lore does. And I think that they're to blame for that. I think that it's because they were just pushing Stormcast Eternals on us, and they didn't give us enough other things. Like the Seraphon novel sold out right away, and I couldn't find another copy of it. Right? A bunch of them do, like all the Gotrek hardbacks, and like, you know what I mean. That there's a lot of stuff like that does sell out, but the fantasy, like the things that people talk about, like I've been on the Skaven Facebook groups like since the beginning, and you know, people are always like, how can I get into Skaven lore? What should I read? There's nothing to read for Age of Sigmar to get into Skaven lore. It's all recommendations to read Gracier Thanquol and Headhunter, or what is it? Headhunter? Is that the name of it? It doesn't matter. It's the Kenrick 8 Peaks trilogy. It doesn't matter. But like, you know what I mean? You're trying to get into Ironjaw's lore or Goblin lore or whatever. You know, most of the time people are not recommending, and they don't put their money or their talent towards it either, right? So, and I'm a fan. I've been talking about this for a long time now. I've been trying to get people to read the Gotrek novels by Darius Hinks. What's it? The Cato Eseshiar. He has 2 novels. I only read the first one. I heard the second one wasn't that good, but the first one's really good. I am a proponent. I'm not hating. You know what I mean? Like, I've been here from the beginning, repping this lore, but we all know it's not selling even like let's say that like 40K sells about 4 times as much as Age of Sigmar. It probably sells a little more than that, right? But let's just say it's like about 4 to 1. You know, like their lore has got to be like 10 or 20 to 1. And so if any of this is true, I think it's so that they can flip the script and start getting some people into Age of Sigmar lore. And if that's what they're trying to do, I'm actually kind of here for it, which is kind of a crazy, spicy take in our community. I'm not looking for hate, but like I'm only coming out of this out of love, and I think our lore has the potential to be more interesting than 40K lore because it's not so homogenous. It's the same thing with the models. Anyway, that was my TED Talk. Your thoughts as I take a lot of water?
Yeah, I appreciate that you said that, because that was the thing I was worried about, is that people are going to be like reacting negatively to big things happening, essentially. But in order for a story to be interesting, you have to have big things happen, right?
Yep.
And as I mentioned before, like this is being kind of delivered to us through the eyes of someone who does not like AOS. And so it's not going to be the best way to receive the news, I guess.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, you know, if someone spoiled the ending to Harry Potter that just hated Harry Potter
yeah.
to a bunch of children, like the kids would start crying, right? Like it would be awful.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
But so 40K, the lore is extremely rich and well developed, but it's been going on for like 40 years.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
and
true.
AOS has had 10 years?
Yep, 10 years.
10 or 12.
11 actually, because it launched in 2015. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And not only has it only been around for about 10 years, but it also has essentially the baggage of all of the old world lore too, right? Where it's like you could bring that stuff forward, but like there needs to be like a central plot to the AOS universe.
Right.
And I think that if they keep doing things like the big bad guy's going to do a thing, and then it gets foiled at the last second, just like the Necroquake thing. Like if that keeps happening, it's essentially just like Monster of the Week, but for like the lore, and it's just inherently not interesting when stuff like that happens.
Right.
So I think it's important to have big lore beats.
Yep.
And if all of these events, like the core nuggets of information, are actually true, do happen, but they're well developed and there's good reason for them to happen, I think that ultimately as a community we'll come to accept that, and it's fine. So
that's a great point. I do want to say that I do think that GW needs to put their money where their mouth is. I think that they need to, like, they can't have their least talented guys in charge of it. They need to be like, hey, Dan Abnett, William King, you know what I mean? Like whoever you think are like whoever they think is the greatest 40K creators, or if they got like, or maybe Tchaikovsky comes in, right? Maybe Adrian Tchaikovsky comes in and they're just like, hey, Adrian, you apparently like Age of Sigmar lore. That's why you're willing to write a Seraphon novel that involved Skaven and Cities of Sigmar. Like, hey, you want to come in here? You want to design a frickin' universe for us? Like, what would you do? Like, but they need to put their money where their mouth is. They need to invest in it. You know, they can't, because what they've been doing is not been working. You know, there are those of us out there like me who have been trying to get other people into it, but you know, like I have a buddy who I just talked to last night, and he's a 40K player, you know, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm painting Croxagore right now, and he's like, man, those models look so cool in the game, and I was like, you think they look cool in the game? They do look cool in the game. But the new models make the computer game, the Total War game, actually look bad by comparison. They're that good. And he's like, no, I haven't. And I'm just like going like, and I'm just going like, you should get into it. And he's just like, yeah, but you know, the setting, you know? And I was like, did you hear about these crazy rumors? And he's like, no, I don't pay attention to Age of Sigmar. So like, yeah, I'm hoping that like they use this as an excuse, you know, and they invest in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wall says, just got here, looked at the rumor
I
earlier,
saw
and
that.
it reads very AI to me. Have you touched on that yet? I did kind of bring that up a little bit.
He did bring it up because of the M dash thing.
Well, it's the M dashes, and this is written in like way more of a like narratively structured way than Bool's posts usually are.
Maybe.
Like, normally it's just like it's this, and this.
But
and
it is
blah, blah.
Bool's account though, and we know that he's been accurate in the past.
I understand.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of speculation on like what could have happened. Like,
right. Oh, and,
yeah,
and White Fang, just to mention, White Fang did thumbs up the part about Sigmar dying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that could be like accounts could be hacked is number one.
That's true.
I doubt that that's the case. But the other thing too is like, if let's say Bool is like a big collection of employees or something like that,
right,
and they're having trouble like truly summarizing all of these things,
right,
and they're just like, here, ChatGPT,
that's
here's
possible
all of the
too.
clip notes,
right,
make this into like a sensational post of some kind, and then it does, and they read it and they're like, cool, and they just post it.
Right.
I do think the case, it's whatever, but sorry,
that's true. I do think that there is definitely a thread of truth to some of the contents here, just because like AOS or Honest Wargamer Rob was also talking about how like he's been hearing stuff like about this for a little while, but he never said anything because like there was never anything like this that came out, and now that it came out, now he's talking about it. I didn't actually watch his video, but that's what who watched it. I watched, I listened to someone else talk about how they watched it, and that's what he was saying. But yeah, I just didn't have the time. But like, yeah, yeah, it could be true. I don't know. Like this could all be complete malarkey. I think there's enough different confirmations here that something is going to be true. But yeah, we don't know what. I think, I bet the realms do get combined into one world. It does sound like a way for GW to make, to have a big switch flipped and, to get people interested in the lore and the world building and stuff like that,
Yeah. It could even be something as simple too as like a world comes together and their different realms are like different biomes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's like, what I was thinking. Yeah.
Even in the lore right now, if you go to the direct center of a realm,
yeah,
it's like a normal place.
Yeah.
There's nothing particularly weird about it. It's when you get to like the fringes of it where like all the realm magic gets crazy and unique to that realm. So
yeah, like the grave sand on the edges of Shyish, or like they weigh like 100 kilograms or something like that. And so Nagash just has these skeletons who are like undead, obviously, and they don't tire, and they just pick up these little tiny grains of sand that weigh like 100 kilograms, and they're just like walking them slowly back towards the center so he can use the magic and whatnot. And like, there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on. But like, even like, but that's wild. That's crazy, right? So maybe that's just a way of, like, and who among us even really understands what the realms currently are? Like, are they planets? Like, I think they're planets, but I'm not like, if someone put a gun to my head and was like, you better, if you're not right about this, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't really understand it. Like, I've read several things about it, but I don't think we really concretely know,
Yeah. I mean, like, based on the fact that they do get weirder the further to the edges you get, implies that they're like a plane of some kind.
Yeah, a plane of existence, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they just...
But can you see to the end of that plane? Like, is it a flat Earth thing?
That's a good
Or
point.
do things disappear over the horizon? Is it a curved plane for some reason? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna get caught up with these comments. Sorry guys, I was just trying to get through to the end of this. I hope they don't. Keith says, "Hey Sean, how's it going? Hope you're still here. Sorry, I ignored all this stuff." He says, "Hope they don't kill off Sigmar. So many non-AOS player obnoxious thoughts will be rejoicing." Yeah, I totally feel that. Even if they do, like we kind of talked about earlier, like they've killed off Nagash at least once, right? And they've killed off like other characters like Archon multiple times, and they keep coming back. So yeah, it's like they can't even kill off Aunt May in Spider-Man. They keep bringing her back to life. Like, if they can't even kill off Aunt May, you're not keeping Sigmar down. That's my thoughts.
Is Age of Sigmar just an anime?
It might be. I don't know. I think anime does a much better job.
Time, guys. It's real. He's dead. Trust us. Yeah.
Oh man. AOS pre-GHB either was a galaxy brain move to purge. No, it was a Hail Mary. It was a total Hail Mary. The Great Horn Rat is like that friend that you hang out with because he's friends with your friends, but turns out your friends are thinking the same thing. No one knows whose friend he really is anymore. That's probably true. I haven't gotten to hang out with him as much as I'd like. Pointing at the old world, yes, this big company will totally have two of the same game. I mean, like, that's something that I kind of wanted to touch on earlier, was that the old world still had like that friend of mine that came over yesterday. Was it yesterday? I'm pretty sure it was yesterday. Yeah. He likes the old world, and he plays Total War, and you know what I mean? He'll like read a book every now and again, but and the old world had even longer to develop their stories than 40K, to be fair. But they also had like their top guys, like William King he wrote the first however many Gotrek and Felix novels, like the best-selling, by most people's thoughts, the best, AOS stuff, or AOS, sorry, the old world fantasy battles lore, you know what I mean? And I can't remember if he's even written anything for Age of Sigmar, you know what I mean? So maybe this whole thing is just to get William King to come back to the table and write some Age of Sigmar. He's like, I'm not even going to, if it's called the Age of Sigmar, I'm not even going to write a book for it. And I'm like, okay, what can we do? Like, combine it back into one world and call it something, whatever. Just call it something else. I'm like, okay, William King, you twisted our arm, whatever. I have no idea. But yeah, anyway. Okay. I have a hot take to share. This is Pat. This is either the result of bad telephone game run through AI, or someone really needs to get over the end times. Yeah, both are very possible. Keith says 5th edition rolls around. Yeah, so this big successful human city got blown up by Archaon and he killed the major of the town. Also, Slanesh half woke up, rolled over, and caused a disturbance. I'm kind of here for that. This seems like that meme where Warhammer Fantasy Battles players shouting at two. Yeah. Like, I think I know what you're talking about, where like there's a group of AOS players, that meme, right? And then he's like, hey guys, Age of Sigmar is stupid because that, and then the person turns around and gives them the thumbs up, and then they go back to having fun. I think that's what you mean. I always think about that too. That I mean, anytime you see like a post on like an old world thing of Age of Sigmar, that's definitely what I think of. First 2 to 4 years of AOS flashbacks. Yeah, it wasn't great. Well, no, that's not true. The first year wasn't great, but after that, it was my favorite game. My friend would sell all of his armies for Bretonians in AOS. It would be very popular. I think so. For me personally, actually, I would love to hear your thoughts on this too, Carson. But like when we've been promised like kind of like old world dwarves, almost like a general dwarf faction. I'm not interested in straight up Warhammer Fantasy Battles dwarves. I want it to get a little weird at least. When I say weird, I mean creative. I want them to be creative with it. And I feel the same way about Bretonia. If they're going to have a bunch of knights on steed, I think they need to be like weird rhinoceros lizards and flying hippo giraffes or just something freaking just wild. Like I want to see something creative and cool as shit, you know?
Yeah. It's important to maintain that Age of Sigmar is like a high fantasy setting. It's very like there's a lot of crazy shit happening constantly.
Yep, that's true.
And the aesthetic is like it seems like they're not afraid to like there's no holding back when it comes to the aesthetics of the game.
No.
So,
If they were ever gonna play it safe, it was with Lumineth. And I feel like they swung harder for Lumineth with weird kangaroo monsters that they ride on that are powered by wind magic and stone yaks. Like they could have just done something vaguely lion-esque and something whatever dragon-esque for, you know what I mean, or something else that's like just obviously popular. But they're like, nope, yaks and kangaroos. Like really, god dang, guys, like holy moly, like you really just didn't care if that sold well, huh? You're just like, no, you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. That's what we want. And I'm here for it, like because like IDK is the same way. It's very divisive, right? And I love IDK. For a while, they were my second favorite faction after they came out because they were so weird and they did swing for the fences so hard, and it was ocean themed and other stuff like that I really love. But
KO as well, Carrion Overlords.
Yeah,
like
steampunk dwarves in the sky. It's like, what? Dwarves are supposed to be underground. What are you guys even doing right now?
Yeah. It's like, this is not for me, but I really appreciate it exists. And
Same
it's
here.
There's a lot of people that do really like it. So
Yeah. That's exactly what I said when KO very first came out in first edition, by the way. I was just like, it's not for me, but I'm glad it exists, you know? Same thing with Lumineth. It's not for me at all. It's even less for me, but I'm super glad it exists. It's definitely, you know, filling a kind of big niche, I think, you know, if it even is a niche at that point. I couldn't agree more. Although I am a little worried about Idnith because we didn't get much in this last release. So if they're gonna squat someone, you know what I mean? It's like we're starting to fall. It's like we're safe before. There's bone splitters before us. There's beasts of chaos, and then they cut them out. They're going, oh shit! Like now there's just fire slayers. There's fire slayers, and then there's maybe us. You know, so I'm a little worried. I'm not gonna lie, but I love them. I hope they keep them around. I hope we get more stuff for Idnith. But
it's all new models, though. I highly.
It's all new models, but they're all made in China. I'm just saying. Oh no, that's not true. That's not true. There's the two heroes. That's true, but I don't know. But Beasts of Chaos got terrain, and then they got a foot hero, and then they got
and endless spells.
And endless spells, exactly. So that's pretty much what. It's not that different than Idnith. Like, I don't think that they should cut them, especially anything that's that creative and awesome. Like, we never even had an ocean-themed army of any kind. Anyway, I'll stop. But yes, I really hope.
Vampire Ghost.
No, but it's never been released.
I see. Yeah, that's fair.
We got it in a video game, and if they ever come out with Vampire Coast, even if it's in the old world, I will fully collect that army. I'm just saying. Like, I love that army. It's so sick. I've kind of lost where I was. A lot of the big pump in 40K Zeitgeist was Dawn of War, and same for Total War and Fantasy. There is a reason most lore knowledge is based on those games when those games came out. I mean, a lot of people got into it from Space Marine, and a lot of people got into it from Space Marine 2. A lot of people got into it from Dawn of War. And so I think your point is that the some people like like there's a lot of people that got into it through a video game. That's true. But like I think this, I mean, this is, from what I understand, this is true. Like, so there's this game that came out last year, 2025, in February, called Kazan. It was a Korean-made game. It's like a Souls-like game, and it's my favorite of that genre ever made. It was my game of the year. I played that game more than any other game. It nails the combat in a Souls-like game better than literally any game I've ever played. It goes, for me, it goes Kazan, and then right down from there is Sekiro, and then Bloodborne, and then everything else to me is kind of crap by comparison, right? So what I wanted to say, though, is I was reading a thing about that. I was curious about the sales numbers, because I really want there to be a Kazan 2. And from what I understand, the company said that they were happy with the sales numbers in the video game, but basically because it's the first iteration. And from what I understand is if they have a decent, if they sell enough in the first iteration of a video game, then the sequel tends to sell way more, because all the fans that you made in the first iteration come back, and then you also get other people, added on to that, essentially. So like the sequel ends up being more popular. So I think it's kind of, maybe, I don't know if you can confirm or deny or whatever that, but like I think it's going to be kind of true regardless about. It's sort of like a chicken or the egg thing, but like you need to have good lore to have good video games. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you have a bunch of people who are into the setting for 40K, they're going to play it no matter what, just because it has that 40K label. There's Mechanicus, there's a bunch of there's Rogue Trader and a bunch of other games that sell like kind of well. Bolt Action? I don't know. Bolt Gun, thank you. Like there's a bunch of those games, and then you've got and then if a game gets made and it's really good, then it sells like gangbusters, because you have the people that are there from the original audience, and then you've got the people that come on because it's a good gaming experience and they enjoy the story or whatever, right? So, I don't think Age of Sigmar is gonna get that unless they gotta nail the lore, and then they can get the properties, the games, and I know you made a great game, but
it was okay. I'm fine with saying it's okay.
It was a good game. Can I say that? It was a good game.
I'm not gonna tell someone that their opinion's wrong. I would never say that. But
okay.
In my opinion, it's fine.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game. But like the work you'd have to do, let's say it was like the best hex game ever made, right? The work you would have to do for that to get people into the setting is crazy high for Age of Sigmar. It's crazy. It wasn't going to happen, even if they gave you guys full creative control and you got some brilliant writer in there to write this amazing story for it. It wasn't going to happen. You need the egg needs to come before the chicken, in this case, I think. But
yeah. We did get a GW writer involved with the project. Robbie McNiven, I think his name was.
McNiven, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's actually a pretty good writer. He wrote a Sylvanus short story.
Yeah.
He's like one of the few people.
Yeah. There was a ton of lore in that game, but I understand what you mean.
But that's what I mean, though. He's a good writer.
Yeah. The most ideal situation for a Warhammer title to be successful is that whatever is backing it up lore-wise, essentially. So I'm sorry if my camera's doing that.
I'm sorry, I can't help it.
Whatever's backing it up lore-wise is rich enough for someone who enjoys the game to want to pursue it further.
Exactly.
And there's enough fans of it where they want to play the game. And it's kind of like a healthy cycle of you have because one of the most important things in games is that jolt of interest at the start, and you kind of have to bring your own audience whenever you're publishing a game, right? That's why marketing is such a huge part of AAA development, is just building that giant hype machine for when the game finally launches, and hundreds of thousands of people buy the game or pre-order the game on day one or something like that. That's super important. So that's an enticing thing for games to have for the Warhammer IP, is hey, you have this giant pool of people that will buy the game if it looks interesting enough.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you that AOS doesn't have the same what's the Horus Heresy of AOS. I've literally seen that posted 10 times on the AOS subreddit.
Yeah, it
where
doesn't
someone's
exist.
yeah, there is none. Like, and part of it's because there's not like a central theme.
Right.
There's like a whole bunch of different factions that are kind of doing their own thing, and there's like a couple central things, but
they
they're
also
not.
don't have their own books.
Yeah,
Like I was talking about earlier. What's the I want to play. I'm really into Skaven. I want to get into in Age of Sigmar. How do I get into their lore? You read their battle tome, or you go back and read old world books. Because like even the books that are called Skaven Tide and Vermin Slayer have almost no Skaven POV stuff in it. Ironically, the Seraphon book has literally infinitely more Skaven POV stuff than the book called Skaven Tide. The book is called Skaven Tide. So we think that there's going to be Skaven in it, and there is, but it's only on the other side of the fence. And Skaven have always sold well in terms of their books. Like the Grace You're Thankful books all sold well. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit... I'm getting off into the weeds here a bit, but...
No, it's totally fair. In the chat, I think it's Qual and Neem are both talking about Realms of Ruin. We were talking about Stormground.
We were. Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. It was, well, it came out 5 years ago now. 2021.
Wow.
Yeah,
it feels like longer than that to me.
Yeah. I actually, one thing that, who was that brought it up? Made it console compatible, too many design trade-offs. Yeah, actually, I would say that that was one of the issues with Stormground 2. And I was literally the person that implemented cross-platform multiplayer for that project. We didn't need to do that. Like, if they had me working on features just to make the core game better, it would have resulted in a better... and then we can, like, expand to that
so
in the future.
True.
Like,
that was so true. I never even thought about that.
That was the company's inaugural product. It's like, yeah, we're going to be, like... all major platforms day one, cross-platform multiplayer. We're gonna have like competitive online multiplayer. It's like it just doesn't make sense to have that right away. You just don't need it.
But don't forget, like I mean, you know this, or maybe this isn't totally true, but like in my opinion, the zeitgeist has also kind of changed from where it was then. Like we were still in 2020, 2021, we're still seeing a lot of that like the leftovers of like, well, every game to make money has to be a live service, has to have microtransactions, has to have all these things. And then like all these games came out, like Hollow Knight and a bunch of different games that were just like, oh, this is just a single player experience. And then it sold insane numbers. You know what I mean? Like Elden Ring technically has a multiplayer aspect to it, but it really is at its heart a single player game. And most people play it as such, and you can see ghosts running around or whatever, right? But like, yeah, but like, so like, I don't even fault them necessarily for that because I think they're probably still thinking. I mean, like, how long did it take to make that game? Like, when did development start?
It was like 2.5, 3 years.
That's very short. At least it seems like that's short to me. Again, I've got a very experienced developer right with me. I don't know why I'm venturing.
I mean, for a game of that size, it's not unreasonable. I think what was unreasonable is like all of the shiny publisher things that were slapped onto it, like
what?
Competitive multiplayer and cross-platform multiplayer and DLC day one and stuff like that. It's like we don't do that. Like it's you got to sell the it feels just very like we didn't need to do that. But I'm just one of the developers. I wasn't part of like the business talks of how that game ended up getting made. Like perhaps it was, we're not going to sign this unless you promise to do all these things, right?
Right. Yeah.
And fair enough. Like it's either you promise to do all those things or the game doesn't even happen, I guess. From a company perspective. Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of speculation there, but yeah, I think that a game should be like I've always said that with Warhammer games, if they weren't Warhammer, they would still do well.
Yeah.
Because at their core, they're still really good games.
Yeah.
Like if you think of Dawn of War, that's just a really solid RTS.
It is.
Like the original Dawn of War and Dawn of War 2 are really solid RTSs. Yeah. If you look at Total War, it literally was a different game first.
It's just Total War. it's just Rome or Shogun reskinned with magic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it already was a really good game. They're like, what if we put the Warhammer IP on it and then magic happened?
I mean, Warcraft 1 was Warhammer, and then they lost the IP, and it was just a good enough game that it became its own IP that ended up being, at one point at least, bigger than Warhammer. So,
yeah. So like, I think a game should be good enough to stand on its own without being attached to some popular IP.
I mean, if you look at like all the shovelware that you get over the years, like how many good Spider-Man games have there been versus how many Spider-Man games, right? It's disgusting. And honestly, the Spider-Man games were not the worst offenders, not even close. You know what I mean? There are other IPs that are way more egregious than that. Probably Ninja Turtles, even though Ninja Turtles has some amazing games over the years, especially the beat 'em ups from my childhood. The arcade game Turtles in Time, and then even like a few years ago, Shredder's Revenge is one of the games that I played the most that year. Whatever year it came out, I bought it on PlayStation. I bought it on Steam, and I actually bought a physical copy of it just so no one can ever take that game away from me. That's how awesome that game is to me. But like, it's had so much absolute trash over the years, and I mean, I think video games have been historically very bad for that. You know, like. Since like what Friday the 13th isn't as bad for the Nintendo Entertainment System, by the way, is not as bad as people said it was, but it's not a great game, you know. But like E.T. is like one of the famous ones from Nintendo, right? Where it's just like, holy Moses, this is bad. Yeah.
I mean, like the early 2000s was a plague of, you would have a video game release at like the same time or like sometimes even before when a movie would come out, and it's just literally some crap platformer that comes out with like the movie actor's skin on it or something like that.
Very common. Although like there were good ones in between.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to find the Wolverine game that came out with Origins, because I loved that game. It was so sick. Like you would hit the barrel, it would blow up and your skin would go away and you could watch it grow back together. And I was just like, it was like God of War, but with Wolverine. It was badass. But yeah, it didn't get like very good reviews, but I don't care.
Yeah. Sometimes you get good ones for sure, but just slapping an IP onto a video game isn't a recipe for success.
No,
obviously.
No, for sure.
Yeah. How did we get on this topic?
It was through a comment. I think it was through Cole's comment, and he said, I got into AOS from Total War. There were actually a lot of people that did do that, because the old world wasn't a thing at that point. So it was like in between. And so it's like when people came in from the old world, you know, a lot of people were like, I want to play the tabletop game. And they're like, well, the tabletop game doesn't really exist anymore, but there's Age of Sigmar, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. I do think that if there is going to be some big breakout Age of Sigmar game, it's not going to be probably like a Total War game or an RTS. I think that hoping for an RTS is like point to me an RTS, which is hugely successful right now in general.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not looking good.
Actually, I do know one. StarCraft 2 is still quite successful.
Yeah, but that came out like how long ago?
16 years ago.
Yeah, there you go.
Or 15 and a half years ago. I mean, come on, I was
the
joking.
RTS golden age is like the late 90s and early 2000s kind of thing.
It really was. Or actually, I mean, because it came out in 2010. I think StarCraft 2 is up there as one of the best of all time. Actually, no, that was Wings of Liberty came out then, and then I forget when Heart of the Swarm and Legacy of the Void came out, but it was probably like 2 to 3 years in between each game. But yeah.
But those are sequels to like
no, for sure,
one of the most pivotal RTSs of all time. Like
of all time, absolutely. Yeah.
But like if someone's coming out with a brand new RTS right now, even if it does well, it's like fine. Whereas RTSs were like money makers in the past.
I feel bad because I played the original Dune, and I played Dune 2000 and like Dune 2 and all those games or whatever, and they're so comically like I swear the graphics were way better than they were. You know what I mean? And oops, sorry. Apparently, I did not mute Facebook again. I'm going to do that right now just in case the person keeps messaging me. Did you message me on Discord, by the way?
Nope.
Okay.
I did not.
There we go. Sorry, guys. That was not your browser. That was me. I apologize. So, what were we talking? Oh yeah, but did you play Dune Spice Wars? That came out like a couple of years ago or something like that. Apparently, there's a bit of a renaissance though for RTS.
Yeah. No, I didn't play it. No.
I didn't either. Once I was like, oh, it's based on the movie. I was like, whatever. But I played Emperor of Dune, which came out in like, and Michael Dorn, you know, the guy who plays Worf from Star Trek. He was like, he played one of the planetary governors or whatever. You know, one of the lords or whatever. I can't remember which region it was, but that game had full cutscenes and everything. It was great, but no, you're not wrong. But then it doesn't take much though for them to come back. We are way off in the weeds here. I just want to point that out. But like beat 'em ups were not a thing until Dotemu made Streets of Rage 4. They made a sequel for a game like the last one came out like over 20 years ago, and all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna make a beat 'em up, and then it was like it's still probably the best beat 'em up ever made to this day. And they've had a bunch of games that came out after that. I personally like Shredder's Revenge a little bit more, but they've got a Marvel game that just came out, and they had the game that you played, Absolem. So like, you know, and then like I feel like a really good video game can also like refresh a whole genre, like Hollow Knight did for Castle or Metroidvania, and you know what I mean, and Streets of Rage 4 did for beat 'em ups and stuff like that, you know. But or like Guitar Hero made a genre, and then Rock Band and whatever, and then it died, and then Mad Catz tried to revive it and then went bankrupt because they did. Like crazy stuff can happen. Man, IPs are scary. I don't know. Maybe I should be more nervous about this Last World business than I've been. Yeah. Looking at Rock Band and like stuff like that.
Yep. It's yeah. The nice thing is that I guess in order to like truly ruin a setting,
yeah,
you'd have to do something like so monumentally stupid lore wise that you would hope that you don't just have a whole bunch of execs patting each other on the back,
right,
and just going like, yep, this will sell great and we're gonna make billions off of this, and then it just does terribly. You'd hope.
Right.
Like I think I did watch a bit of the Honest Wargamer video, and from the people that I do know at GW, they do really care about their jobs. All of them are Warhammer players. They really like it.
Yeah.
Like, whereas like in stark contrast, I've worked at video game studios with people who don't like video games.
Yeah, that's a great
which I'm
point.
like, why are you here?
Yeah, that's so true. Or like, how many posts have we seen now where this developer goes off the rails and is just shitting on their audience, like the audience for their video game, and just talking about how stupid they are, and the the reason why they didn't like the video game that they made, and how dumb they are for not liking it. It's like I mean, because I've designed user interfaces and stuff like that for web design and whatnot, and like there's an expression in it, you know, I'm paraphrasing because it's been many years since I've been out of school for this whole deal, but it's like if one user doesn't understand your like can't figure out your user interface, you know, and finds it hard to use, then that's probably on them. But if half of them do, then it's definitely on you, and you need to figure that out. It's not their fault that they don't understand it. It's your fault. You designed it poorly. So figure it out. And that's what my teachers told me. And I feel the same way about lore, and I feel the same way about video games. I feel that same way about all this stuff. So, but I agree with you, and I think that the odds, honestly, it will be fine. I was just joking. Obviously, I'm just joking, right? But like, yeah, it'll be fine. Everyone, don't panic. Did I give any of you? Did I give anyone a panic attack? It will be fine. Like, it really will be. And like we don't even think that they're changing the game, which is what brought most of us here. Like if you didn't see this post, let's say Sigmar hit the red button, you probably wouldn't even find out about it right away. You know what I mean? Like, that's how disconnected you are from the lore, right? Like we've talked about this in the past. Like, what do you care about for your army? And lore was like the lowest one down on your list. It was like the way they play and the models were like interconnected, and then you're like, and then just the lore is down here where I don't really care, you know?
Yeah. That being said, I think interestingly, because like when I say I don't care about the lore, that means if an ogre book comes out, there's a good chance I'm not going to buy it, right?
Right.
And I'm not going to read it. But what I do really like about Age of Sigmar
Yeah.
is that all of their models and all of their rules,
Yeah.
the lore creeps up through them, and you
Totally.
experience it through that.
Some more than
And
others.
that's the reason
yeah.
why I'm not playing like chess or something.
Yeah.
It's like I think that ogres in how they play and like the little tidbits that I catch from like the flavor text they put above the rules and stuff like that
Yeah.
interests me enough where I'm just like, yeah, these guys are sick. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah. That's a great point.
So it's important to note that lore is extremely important. And I
it
think
is.
That's what keeps Age of Sigmar players like involved most of the time is the lore that creeps up through other things like the models themselves and the rules. Even if there isn't like some giant core arc, Horus Heresy-esque arc
Right.
that's happening that is like super interesting from like a narrative standpoint.
For sure. But I also think that like there's a lot of people that have stories like me and Andy or Andy Greystone, not Selwood. But like remember in our videos for Saga of Six, a lot of us have this a lot of us got into it through like, oh yeah, like I was walking in the mall, or my friend's mom took me to a Warhammer store, or you for your brothers. Like a lot of us have this story of getting into it that way, right? But I know a lot of people, that got into 40K specifically just through the Horus Heresy, or like I was already into all this stuff before this happened to me, but I went to, after I was not into any kind of Warhammer product for a long time, I went to the library. I used to go to the library all the time, and I would take books out and read them, obviously. There's movies and other things there, but I was there for the books. And I would go and I would just peruse the sci-fi fantasy section, because that's like my favorite genres, and I would see Warhammer 40K novels there. And I almost picked them up because they looked interesting. But I was just like, I don't really want to get back into that lore. You know what I mean? I know what this is about. I didn't really fully at that time. But my point is, though, is that I know a lot of people who got into it through the lore. So, like, okay, I know this is like, I shouldn't say this, okay? But I really think that, like, this could be, if even, like, I'm going to assume that this is all explained poorly through the worst lens possible, but I still think that this could be huge for Age of Sigmar, both the lore and then trickle down from the lore into the game. Like, if they do something really cool here, it could get a bunch of people into it. But I see a lot more people who are like uninterested in the lore than people who are interested in the lore, and I want that to change, and I think GW does too. And so there's a part of me that's really excited for this whole thing.
Yeah. Like if they end up building a Horus Heresy style arc for the narrative, that would probably convince me to pick up a book and start reading the lore.
Exactly.
Because I have read Horus Heresy and I enjoy it. Not all of it, but I've enjoyed it. Right.
No. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, that's like 40 books or something.
Yeah, I got like whatever the Gilliman makes his own empire, the Forgotten Empire, or whatever it's like 20 something in the Horus Heresy, and then I just tapped out. I was just like, oh my god, no, I can't. And then I tried to pick it up with like the final 7 or 9 or 10 books or whatever it is, that whole invasion thing, and I was just like, I don't know who anyone is, and it was boring, and I just stopped.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, it would be fun to be kind of like at the ground floor of something like that as it comes out.
So sick. I mean, that's why I'm kind of saying like they need to go to like Dan Abnett, because like Dan Abnett basically designed the Horus Heresy, right? That's why he wrote the first book and the last book, and like I know he wasn't alone. I'm not saying he was alone, but like from what I understand, he was like really instrumental. So, I kind of hope that they do something similar. You've got all the Horus Heresy? That's crazy. There are tons of 40K players who give zero cares about the lore. They just play the game. Obviously there are. Like I know them too. I'm just saying that there's but the opposite of that side is true. Like, let's say like you're saying there's tons, like that means that there's like thousands or tens of thousands or whatever, right? Like, let's just say that like 80% of them just play the game, and and only 20% of them got into it through the lore. That's fine. That's still a lot of people who got into the game, a more popular game, through the lore. And I don't know anyone who is just like, like we all as gamers play Age of Sigmar, and we're like, and someone's like, yeah, like where can I go in to get into the lore? And we all go 2+ tough, check them out. Right. But I don't think a lot of people are coming over from the lore, and I think I want that to happen. Basically, I think we can make it happen, but I think this might be the first step in making that happen, if that makes sense, Keith. The biggest issue with the Mortal Realms is that the scale is so big that it's tough to have a single battle ever matter. That's true. Shrink the scale even a bit, and then it becomes easier on the writers. That's a great point. That's a really great point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Do you want to know my new theory that I just thought of right now?
Uh-huh.
I think Henry Cavill is secretly making an Age of Sigmar show for Amazon Prime. And I think that Henry Cavill is going to play Sigmar, and he will die live on camera.
Oh, did he actually die in real life?
Yeah.
That sounds, that sounds, up until the end there, I was like, he does like Custodes.
Yeah. And Timothy Chalamet will play Pontifex Sinestra.
Pontifex Sinestra. Why Timothy Chalamet?
It's the clear choice. What are you talking about?
Oh, man.
It's going to be really good. I think it's going to be. I'm on board.
You're hyping yourself up with it?
Yeah, I'm excited. That's going to happen. If that doesn't happen, I'm going to be angry. And now I've just explained every Warhammer fan ever. I've created something
That's
in my
so
brain,
true.
and if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be angry.
Oh, that's so true. Oh, man. Not me, boyo. Not me.
Happen.
It's true.
You'd be in for it if it did, though. If you did do that. Henry
I don't
Cavill
want him to
playing
die.
Sigmar.
I love Henry Cavill.
Well, not that part, but I mean, like,
Okay,
if he secretly made an Age of Sigmar show instead, he just
I'd be
tricked
totally
everyone.
into it. I'd be totally into it. I'd be totally into it. That's like, at this point, because I have read a lot of actual, Stormcast Eternal books and lore. That's the only way that I that might pique my interest to go and look at a Stormcast Eternal book ever again. Is if Henry Cavill was like, I stand behind this. I'm like, okay, man, if you do, because that dude he really is a true Warhammer nerd, and he loves Custodes, right? So Stormcast Eternals are basically, they're very similar. They're golden, they're big. I don't know. There's male and females,
That's right.
Yeah. They're all about that emperor, God emperor. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of
similarity.
carryover. Yeah. So no, I would be totally down for that. I honestly though, like I hope that they learn their lesson though, because I think that like they're starting to go the right way. I think that the stories, because like look at the major, like the best stories written in 40K are mostly written from a human's perspective, not a space marine, right? And there's been some good ones. I really like the Space Wolf, but 90% of that novel, he's a guy trying to become a space marine. He's not a space marine, right? But you look at like the Ghost, what is it called? Gaunt's Ghosts. It's like one of the best-selling series. If you look at the Horus Heresy novel, the best-selling Horus Heresy novel is The Burning of Prospero, I believe. It's one of two novels for all of Warhammer to appear on the New York Times bestseller list. And that whole thing, even though it's the Space Wolf one, is written by a guy who's basically like a skald for the Space Wolves. So it's not written from that perspective. He's just going around going like, holy smokes, like this is crazy. You know what I mean? He's like a pebble in a storm almost. You look at most of the really great stories. I think they're mostly written from a human perspective, not a space marine perspective. And obviously, like, if they can make the Stormcast Eternals interesting enough that maybe they could start making them into like sort of more like Space Marines and sell better like Space Marines, then that's great. But I think that's a future thing. I think at first they need to tell stories from humans. Like I think it needs to be more about like the cities of Sigmar and that kind of thing, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we as humans find it difficult to like identify with and relate to things that aren't human. So when you introduce human qualities into characters, it makes them
Exactly.
more relatable and interesting to listen to. Like I think someone said earlier on that Necron lore used to just be like from the perspective of the Imperium, and then when they came out with like the Infinite and the Divine and stuff, where it's essentially like, you know, two Necron characters just having like a intergalactic spat.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
just like, oh, this is great.
It's like it's basically like a prank contest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Yeah, more stuff like that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, they never did a full Lizard Man novel in the old world, and then they did it for Seraphon, and it's mostly told through the eyes of a Cities of Sigmar, or a few different Cities of Sigmar characters, and they have some kind of POV switches to the skink priest Erixi. I can't remember his name, or its name. And then there's like a Saurus warrior type of guy, and then there's like a chameleon skink type of guy, and you know they do go around there, but it's mostly still told, even though it's a Seraphon novel, it's still mostly told from a human perspective, and it's just it's easier for us to grasp because their thinking is so alien, and then but that's part of what makes it interesting too, is when they go back and forth. You know what I mean? Like you know, like the skink or the Seraphon side are like, you can't even like know what I'm saying because I changed the color of my spots. Like, what are you, an idiot?
Yeah.
You know?
It'd be like if you watched the movie Arrival and it was from the perspective of like the crazy time alien.
Yeah, the time
Like,
aliens.
what is happening? I don't understand anything.
Yeah, it's like a fever dream of like images from past and and future. Yeah, that's true. I love that movie. Or I love everything about that. Lore and wait, one second. I missed a bunch of stuff. IRL combos about it with they're still stuck back with someone told them first edition. I mean, like there are good parts to it for sure. I think that like where they've have done brilliant stuff with lore that wasn't in fantasy, like Flesh Eater Courts. Like they took those old stupid models, you know, and I like them, but I'm being hyperbolic. And then they were just like, yeah, these guys they all think that they're Bretonnians basically, but they actually are eating flesh and they don't even know it. Like that's so crazy, and I love it. So like there have been some amazing moments, but like again, I'm someone who consumes it. I've read more AOS books than anyone I know, except for maybe, I don't know. I've read a lot of AOS books. I don't know. I've read so many of them, and you know, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's got a long way to go, I think. The Dreki Flint novels, I haven't read those, but I know that they are, you know, like if you're into KO, then that's where you get sent, and that's great. Like I read the IDK one, the Blind Prince, Court of the Blind Prince, or whatever it's called, and it's very fun. It's like what they would call bolter porn or whatever, you know what I mean, where it's just like it's all action and it's just kind of dumb fun, and you're never gonna like, I don't know, I never even got invested in the main character, but like I still had a great time. You know, it's a lot of really fun, dumb fun, you know. See, I completely agree, Keith. I think Cities of Sigmar should be the poster army. I think they should, like if you're going to make everyone in a set, because you can just keep going. And someone said earlier, by the way, that this post, I think it was Qual, and this is not, I'm not shitting on you, Qual, but you were saying that like you think that this is AI because they said AOS not Grand Cathay and AOS not Nippon or whatever. But I mean, like you could, like, I think that's just their way of saying like, cause you could call AOS, like you could say LRL is AOS not High Elves, right? And so like, what else is there? AOS. Well, no, Seraphon is Lizardman, straight up. But like that's kind of what I think that they were going for. Sylvaneth are you could almost say that they're AOS not Wood Elves because it's just the tree spirit side of it or whatever. But yeah. Lore in AOS is like lore in Elden Ring. It's there to explore if you're interested, but also perfectly fine as a set. Yeah, that's really well said. Dawnbringers was not my favorite lore. Yeah, I agree. They need to up their game in those types of books. That's how you lead players. That's true. I do think that they were doing like a good job of taking some pretty wild swings in Forgotten Realms, but what they needed was like some accompanying novels by really good, by really good authors, not the B team. They need the A team if they're going to make a swing. So that's what I'm hoping for in this. I still flick through that first Cities of Sigmar battle tome sometimes. You are all well-trained human soldier. This is all the things you carry to maybe survive. Life sucks. Yeah, a lot of people point to that as a really good battle tome. I've heard that before. And honestly, most of the battle tomes do have good lore, although they get rehashed a lot. And I remember that the Warhammer Fantasy Battle stuff they used to do that a little bit too. Apart from 4th and 5th edition, they were much wilder, and then they changed more. And then like 6th and 8th edition or whatever, it was mostly like rehashed and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. As long as they start investing more and take some swings and put an effort into it, I'm going to support whatever it is. Obviously, I'd be pretty pissed if they shit canned Idoneth Deepkin or something like that. And to be fair, even though I didn't play Beasts of Chaos, Sacrosanct, any of the stuff that they can for Slaves of Darkness or Bone Splitters, any of those armies, I was still like, that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I get it, but that sucks. If Idoneth came out, if they were just like, hey guys, like, they don't sell well at all, I'd be like, damn, that sucks. You know what I mean? I think you're partially to blame, GW, because you didn't like give us cool new models like ever except for the first edition, and I think they did sell well back then, but but it is what it is. Like, they're in it to make money, right? Broken Realms. There was a novel at the start of Broken Realms. Are you thinking of Soul Wars? Because that was the start of 2nd edition, not at the end of 2nd edition. That came out with 2nd edition. They always come out with a tie-in novel. And that was one of the better ones. The whole I don't remember agreeing to becoming a Dawnbringer thing was pretty cool. That's crazy. I didn't know that. They're like basically conscripted. That's pretty cool. But there's like lots of stuff like that in the battle tomes that they need to kind of pull out more, Yeah. I don't know, man. But yeah, I'd be curious to what other people think as well. Let us know in the comments. I'm terrible at promoting our channel, so if you made it this far, you owe us a subscription.
Yeah. Or we'll find you.
We'll find you.
Yeah, we're not going to do anything.
No, we'll politely remind you. Yeah, exactly.
Just tap on your window and be like, excuse me.
Did you
please subscribe?
You forgot to subscribe. You watched the whole video, or almost.
We did this for you. We got together and had a conversation we might otherwise have normally just had, but we decided to record it. So you owe us a subscription.
Live. Yeah. But you do. You're relatively new. We like having you, Scotty. No, the fall of Anvilgard. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that in particular. Actually, speaking of Age of Sigmar lore, the audio novels on Audible are on sale right now for the Everchosen and Return of Nagash, or whatever it's called, the Nagash novel, which, by the way, is not told from Nagash's perspective, and he's not even really in it. It's all about this like necromancer woman, and who's a great character, and like the book is pretty good. The only problem is when you're signing up for like what you think is going to be Soulblight Gravelords essentially, and it turns out, I mean, this is before Soulblight Gravelords, but Legions of Nagash at the time, and then it turns out it's like you're expecting Nagash to be front and center, maybe Neferata, Archon the Black, or Manfred, and then you just get this random story. I just think the title is not well thought out, but it is a good book, and it's on sale right now on Audible for like $5 Canadian or something like that. So if you're looking for something to listen to, I think Usharan is still on sale. I got it, but I've been on like a crazy Andy Weir. Yeah.
I have a question.
You got an answer,
but knowing me,
yeah,
like friend to friend.
Yes.
What do you think the best book for me to listen to for Age of Sigmar?
That's literally
not in general, because I know you do like a video about this before, like introduction to the lore of Age of Sigmar. But you knowing me, what do you think it would be?
Oh man. Because like, okay, when I mean, most people don't know this about me, but when I make a recommendation, and I mean this, I take my time and I think about that person and what they specifically like and don't like. It doesn't matter who it is. It's my wife, my kid, anyone. I never make a recommendation. So for you specifically, only in Age of Sigmar, I don't have a recommendation. For you, I would just say Gotrek, and I would say read the Gotrek novels, which is what I recommended for everyone, because the quality of the writing is very strong. I think that Darius Hinks is the best person who regularly writes Age of Sigmar novels. True story. I actually tried to get him on the channel, and he's a very nice guy, and he responded to all my things, but he basically said, I don't really do that anymore. And I was like, fair enough. And I think I think his prose, like I think the Age of Sigmar and 40K actually has a prose problem. I don't think that their prose is great, and like I'm an aspiring writer, and so I say that with a lot of love. But Darius Hinks, I think, has some of the better prose, and then also the plots are really good, and like all of those novels have something from the other side. So the first one is about the Flesh Eater courts, and so there's literally like this king who's like, he thinks he's a knight, and they don't even explain it to you, which is kind of why it's so cool. And then honestly, like you read, like the downside to reading those novels is that like you might get into the army that they're fighting. They're that good, and then, so like I kind of got into Gits because I read Git Slayer, and then I was like, oh, thank God I'm already playing Idnith. I can read this book without worrying that I'm going to get into the army, but it made me want to paint them more. And so I did. I don't really have a great answer. Does someone have a good answer for, I enjoyed Plague Garden, but I am an SCE fan. Yeah, Plague Garden is one of the better ones if you don't, like, Carson doesn't really like, I wouldn't say that for you, unless you really like Nurgle. But it really is a Stormcast book at its heart, and it's got one of the more interesting stories because, and it from a Stormcast perspective, because this Plague Lord guy, I don't remember anyone's name. I listened to those books or read them ages ago, but he gets turned into a Stormcast, and now they're fighting Nurgle, and they're like, "Can we count on you?" Oh man, actually, I think the best Stormcast novel is definitely the one about, what's the jaunty guy's name? He's basically Thor. He's like this super jaunty guy, and he gets kidnapped by the Skaven, and that's not why it's good. Truly, it's got like a fake. It's got like some rat named Ikrit Claw, and he's basically a scryer guy. It's like, come on, guys, you could have gone a little further away from Ikrit Claw, you piece of crap. But like, it's really funny, and he's like that guy that like he's always bragging and talking about himself, and like no one likes him, but he's weirdly likable despite all that. You know what I mean? He's kind of annoying. He's always bragging and stuff like that. I forget what it's called. I've got it somewhere, and I actually own the audio novel as well. It's pretty good. I'd recommend How to Serve Man. Poor Skeletor. Yeah. I have the Warhammer Fantasy Battle Nagash trilogy. A lot of that isn't from his perspective either. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm not comparing. I'm just saying, like, hey, it's on sale right now. I am a actual proponent of Age of Sigmar lore, and hey, you can go read those right now. I'll admit I'm biased, but I think the Dreki Flint novels have something that could potentially become the AOS Horus Heresy. Interesting. Okay. Dark Harvest by Josh Reynolds. He's kind of their guy for who has lost faith in Sigmar, but doesn't do too much high fantasy, more the horror of the mortal realms. Interesting. I mean, there's a couple of examples. Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of people would point to the Nagash novel, and City of Secrets, which is about, that one's pretty good. It's kind of like, it's basically about, it's told from a human perspective, and there's like the Zeech plot to take over the city. And I think it was like from the perspective of, like, what's it called? Not a witch hunter, but what do they call him in Age of Sigmar? Basically, like, one of those guys, like the KGB of Sigmar or whatever, right? And they're trying to, like, uncover the plot and stop the Zeech cultists from, you know, that one was pretty good.
Yeah, like what Keith said, the Skaven broodmothers have to name a lot of rats. Can't blame them for only changing one. Yeah. As soon as they all come out, it's just like, all right, naked claw,
They don't
naked
name
slaw.
them. Oh man, the Skaven lore is so dark. People don't even know. It's so dark. Yeah. The Order of Azir. That's what it was. But they have a name that's like Witch Hunter, but it's not that. I can't remember what it's called though. But let's really ponder giving him the best lore recommendations possible in a video talking about the lore could be made irrelevant. That's true. Yeah, I mean, honestly, here's the thing. Oh, man. No, I won't say that. But if I'll tell you after. But I don't want to go too far here. But I mean, like, here's an example, though. What I was going to say before, though, is, like, you recommended for me to watch the show Shogun, right? And it was a great show. One of the best shows I've seen in years. Right. And what did I watch recently that I was just like, it's the best thing I've seen since Shogun?
Oh, you were saying that. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Right.
Yeah. But Shogun was better. Shogun was amazing. It's like a perfect adaptation of a novel that I've read like 3 times and loved. You know, and I read it before I went to Japan. I read it after. That novel, absolutely, it slaps. It's huge. Like, the binding would always come undone. It's like 1,000 pages or something crazy. But anyway, you recommended that to me. And then for Christmas, the following year, I got you one of my favorite novels of all time. And it's...
Musashi?
Yeah, Musashi by Yoshikawa Eiji, which I had the first 3 of. It's actually like 6 books in Japanese. And I had the first 3. But I couldn't afford the other ones. They were really hard to read though, because it was written like 150 or 200 years ago or something crazy. So like the Japanese is like very different, but they're amazing. And anyway, but there's a translated version of that novel, and I'm like, you love Shogun, this is even better, you know, because like it's obviously a lot more true to Japanese culture and history and everything, because it was written by a Japanese historian, you know, hundreds of years ago. And, you know, there's no insert characters or name change characters. Like, everyone is, you know, was real, that's in there. So, and Shogun is based around the same story. Wow, I'm getting way off topic. But my whole point was, though, I was like, you know, I thought about you for a really long time before I even gave you that presence. Like, not even a recommendation. I was just like this, and it is long, admittedly, but it slaps. So I don't even like to I literally don't even like to give people recommendations unless I have something that's like, this is for you. You know what I mean? Like, this is for you. Actually, true story. You know, what's it called? Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yep.
I me and Alex don't really see eye to eye on like lore in general. You know, he likes Stormcast Eternals novels, and he likes a lot of stuff that I don't like. But I was just like, so I never recommend him anything, right? But I'm like, I mean, it's got cats, it's got, you know, RPG stuff, it's a lit RPG novel, it's got all these things. And I was like, okay, I'm going to recommend something to Alex. But I gave it a lot of thought. So I messaged him, I was like, hey, you know, I know we don't really see eye to eye on this lore stuff a lot of the time, but Dungeon Crawler Carl is so good. And here's why you, Alex, specifically will like it. And I put all these, like, you know, like bullet points or whatever. And then I tried to convince him. And he's like, yeah, I love that story. me and my wife, I won't say her name, we listened to it together. We've been fans of it. She has like memorabilia from it. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? But my whole point is that's how much like effort I put into, you know, when I make a recommendation. It's not, most people when they make a recommendation are like, I love this thing, so other people should like this thing too. But I don't think like that. I literally am just like you, Carson, this is why, legally speaking, you have to like this. Remember, on April the 8th, 2019, you told me you like this because of this reason. It's in this book as well. You have to like it. Yeah.
There's no excuse not to.
There's no excuse. You've got
wrong
nothing.
if you don't like it.
You're wrong if you don't like it. Yeah, exactly. That's how much thought I put into it. Yeah. I state your previous opinions like it's like legal doctrine. In the case of Carson v. Dungeon Crawler Carl, or not Dungeon Crawler Carl. Yeah. I don't know. Shogun. Yeah. Etc.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. They still call them witch hunters. Okay. I didn't remember that.
Yeah. The vibe that I'm getting from you then is, and the chat is basically wait until
I would
there's
wait.
something better.
I would wait for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's the like, issue is that like I've also bounced off of Warhammer novels a decent amount for the same reasons you're talking about. Like I find the prose to be a little bit like hard to follow along with.
Yeah.
I also just haven't been reading a lot recently in general. Like most of my when I'm reading stuff, it's like for the purposes of gaining knowledge of some kind. It's not like reading lore or whatever. Right. But I think that if there were some like big new narrative event that would happen in Age of Sigmar and there's like a book to accompany it, I'd probably get the audiobook and like paint along to it or something.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like so Rogue One came out. Everyone likes Rogue One. You know, most people, from at least in my experience, don't really like the Star Wars sequels, but everyone seems to like Rogue One. And it has like a similar vibe for me as the Horus Heresy. I was kind of like not excited about Rogue One. And I wasn't excited about the Horus Heresy because it's like, I know the ending. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, what's the point? And then people were like, just read it, you know, just watch it. And it was good enough. And it was like that opening line from the Horus Heresy, I was there the day the Emperor died. You're like, oh shit, this is where we're starting out? Like, damn, you know? Yeah, exactly. It's something to get excited about. I mean, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, what's a book that's like pretty universally praised? Like a novel. Jurassic Park, right? You're not really into fantasy, you know what I mean? Or like the Marvel movies, like the Avenger movies.
Or Dune as a book as well.
Dune, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all of these things. But I mean, like, I know you're into sci-fi, so I was trying to pick something that, like, is not science fiction. You know what I mean? Or Memoirs of a Geisha. You know what I mean? Just something like that. And it's like, I feel like the Gotrek novels in Age of Sigmar are kind of like that, where it's like, well, you might like them because they're the most popular thing in this thing that you're asking me about. But that's all I got. So if you're looking for something specific to you, I got nothing. If you're just looking for, you know, something that could apply to anyone, yeah, Ghoul Slayer, Git Slayer. Git Slayer is better than Ghoul Slayer. I think Git Slayer is the best out of any of them. But like, I even felt a bit of pushback for what's her name? Malineth. I can't remember her name or how it's pronounced. I think it's Malineth. She's the daughter of Cain character who's accompanying Gotrek like Felix was. And I loved Felix. I actually liked Felix a lot more than I liked Gotrek. And so I felt a natural pushback. Like, why couldn't they bring back Felix too? You know what I mean? Like, you brought Gotrek. Like, Felix is way more interesting to me. And so I was kind of like, I felt a little resentment when I was first reading her. But I won't spoil it for anyone, but I ended up really liking her. She ended up becoming a character that I really liked. Even though I felt this kind of pushback on the character. And then, yeah, she's not really hanging out with Gotrek anymore. So I don't know. The last couple Gotrek novels have been kind of poopy, I think. But you can read those 3 books, and they kind of almost have a start and they definitely have a finish to them, and it's great. They're great. I would recommend them as a general recommendation. Yeah. So, but
cool.
But like you said though, they're not an event. The world isn't really changing. You know?
Yeah, they're just like a little short story inside of it or something. Like it's
and to be fair, like Gotrek basically represents the old fantasy players who are like, you know what I mean? It's like a self-insert almost for them, kind of coming into this world and hating everything. Gotrek hates everything in Age of Sigmar. So it's kind of, he really feels like a fantasy player where he's just like, oh, that's stupid. Fire Slayers? I'm not a Fire Slayer. This is stupid. You know what I mean? He's just always crapping on things and he thinks the whole place is stupid. You know what I mean? But it's kind of a good character where because he's new to the world, so it's a good way of like kind of learning about the world because he's coming in there and he's going like, what is that? What do you mean realms? Isn't this a world? Like, what are you talking about? And they have to explain like everything to him. You know what I mean? So it is like it's a good on-ramp for coming into it, but you already know a lot of this stuff, so doesn't really apply to you. So I think, yeah, big event. This might be your time, Carson. This might be
it might be.
Yeah, you might be like a lore guy.
I could become a lore guy. Yeah. Look, I'm renouncing my competitive ways.
I'm going pure lore.
Lore only. I will go to Worlds just to read lore to people.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I'll participate in the grand narrative. If there's one for AOS.
Ooh, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I like that. You could like be competitive about it too, though. You could be like competitive about the you know how like they have those big lore events like the battle for what was it again in the start of Age of Sigmar 4? Like whoever wins this battle will show your models first and then they win in the lore. And it doesn't. But back to Ludivicus's point too, it's kind of like if the world is smaller, then those things mean more.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Like no one cares about like as much as it's interesting to like read about for a bit. Yeah. The overall impact of like a city of Sigmar exploding and like disappearing from existence is like okay.
Yeah.
Like who cares if a city of Sigmar and Gyrand like explodes and you live in Shaiish, right? Like sure.
Well, like, or even like more, it's like, or you know, like it's not like they're even going to kill off all of cities of Sigmar or whatever in a whole realm even. You know what I mean? Like there's like that famous story of the Adepticon making like a realm gate or something like that. Or no, the Skaven make a realm gate that appears at the bottom of an ocean, and then they drain the whole ocean of Deepkin, and that's how Nagash discovers that Deepkin exists. He's like, "What the hell?" he finds them because they have their magic that protects them, their ocean magic. But then there's no ocean, and so it doesn't protect them anymore from being seen by Nagash. And so and that's ridiculous and everything. But it's not like they even killed off all the Deepkin in Shaiish. They just killed off like one city's worth or one section's worth. But we don't even know how big the realms are. We don't know anything, so it feels very ephemeral and inconsequential. But yeah, like if it's just a world and it's like you can point to it, or like what was it? Maybe this is like a way of rebooting. What's that game? I played it. I own the video game. The skirmish game from like 1999, I want to say. It's like,
Is it a Warhammer game?
yeah, it's I'm Mordheim. Mordheim.
Gotcha.
This might, this might even help them make a Mordheim, but like you can point to like where Mordheim was in the old world. You know what I mean? And like, sure, you can make a map for in the realms and stuff like that, but it's too ephemeral for it to have consequences. This really could mean some good things towards that, I think. Yeah. Is there only 3 books in the AOS Go Trick? No, there are more. There are 5 currently, and even though the last one was about Skaven, I don't recommend it. It's yeah, it's not good. The prose is particularly bad. And he's written good books in the past. I'm not crapping on the guy. Who knows what's going on over there? But no, I would recommend reading 3 books, Scotty. Actually, by the way, there's a lot of KO stuff in from the second book on. There's a lot of KO stuff. There's a lot of Fire Slayer stuff, especially in the 3rd book, in the Idneth one. And there's a lot of, and the whole way Gotrek interacts with the KO like made KO way more interesting. I've never been interested in them at all, but it's kind of funny and charming at this, yeah. Hobbit Hubby says 100% this is fake. At most, we'll see lore shake up to move the current story forward. We'll see. I will come back to it, obviously, if and when we see anything on it. They're pointing these things. By the way, I don't know if I'm assuming you just got here, Hobbit Hubby, but this is coming from a pretty seeming reliable source. Yeah. You can have 8 maps, Rob. I mean, I can have more maps. I love maps. That's the truth. You can zoom in the map. You can zoom out the map. You can go to different sections. It's all good. I've written lore from most of my armies, by the way. People don't know this, but like, I really like lore. You got that one with the KO? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's that, the 3 with by Darius Hanks, and then there's the Nurgle one, and then there's the most recent Skaven one. But they're good. Carson's book reading would probably make money. Just you reading it? I'm sure it would make money. I don't think they'd get their money back, though. I don't think they'd get what they put into it. I love you, buddy. I love you reading stuff. Yeah. Especially when you're reading lists out that I don't have to read our list names out on the channel.
Hey guys, don't know why they picked me for this, but chapter 1. Yeah. Just being unsure the entire time, and then halfway through I realize the character is supposed to be female. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
I'm disappointed.
I was about to start coughing, so I was like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah. In Azire.
Yeah. Azire?
Yeah.
Nagash.
In Azire.
Yeah.
In Azhair.
Azhair. Start, putting joke names on everything. Yeah. The shitties of Sigmar.
Yeah. Welcome to Shitty Walk. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm liking this idea more and more.
Yeah. They should give me a bunch of money to do this.
Yeah. I actually didn't even mean that. I meant like assuming you do it for free.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Like they got to pay the author and they got to get the books made. Not that I would do any better. I'm sure. Reliable source or not, hard to take it serious when it sounds like it was written by a disgruntled. Absolutely. I mean, like, yes. Again, we said it at the very beginning. This is clearly written through the lens of someone who is not a fan of Age of Sigmar. They admit it, and they're very upfront about it. And they also talk about I gave them their props for being honest enough, and they also gave Age of Sigmar props in terms of like how well they're selling and all these other things. But yeah, they're clearly like a bitter Warhammer Fantasy Battles player who's, lived through the end times. And to be fair, most people didn't like the end times. Like, it's not like it was a popular thing that happened. So then they're basically seeing this as the end times too, and it's ruining someone else's thing. So they're kind of looking at it and kind of going like, oh, this is going to suck for you guys. And it might not. And we don't think it will, in fact. But I do think that, there's too many other sources that are kind of confirming kernels of this for it to have no merit at all. Is all I'm saying here. Week early April Fool's joke or something? Yeah, maybe. Oh man, I never thought about that. What if it is?
That would be weird to not post it on April Fool's.
No, but remember then.
Oh, it's all just a joke.
What if it's poison leaks plus April Fool's joke? What if they're doing both of those things?
I could believe the poison leaks thing.
Yeah.
Like I like, it makes sense to me that GW would start putting in some measures of like, okay, we got to figure out who's leaking so much information out to people. Yeah. And that's not even talking about like books and stuff like that, or
it happens all the time with codexes and
I think that's probably like harder to keep a muzzle on people about, just because it's like you got to send it out to content creators and there's so many of them that it's going to leak kind of thing. But when it comes to years down the line, like lore developments and model ranges and stuff like that, I'm assuming that's something they really want to not have leak. So if there's anything that they're going to put these like more advanced like investigation methods on, it's that.
I think so. And I don't even like, I've been saying for a while that they should be doing these things probably. It's the only way that like that they're gonna, because like it's kind of like, actually I don't want to make it politically sounding at all, but like if they don't ever do anything, then there's no consequences and people, reveal stuff for internet clout, even though they're, usernames and whatnot. Right. So, it's just a weird, it's a weird world, but is it the last world? Didn't the same leaker say something like our LRL would see the return of Tyrion with their books? That Boole has been very reliable, and if this was coming directly from White Fang, I'd be like, oh god, like this is all true. But so I wouldn't go that far. But Honest Rob and like White Fang have like confirmed different parts of this. So whatever happens, I think some of this was at least originally planned, but it's also possible that like, I do think we'll see something of this happen, and I think for good reasons, and we've kind of talked about it ad nauseum here, but like, if it doesn't happen, I think it's probably just because they were just like, oh, it's Primaris, but in Age of Sigmar, let's pivot, some way or another.
Yeah.
But no, I do think it'll happen, but I don't think it'll necessarily be bad. I don't think like the only problem I have with this is mostly just the lens in which it's presented. So,
yeah, it's just extremely biased. Honestly, this like reading this reminds me of reading like a Fox News article or something like that. I'm just like, come on, like, just give me the information and let me process it. Don't tell me what to think, kind of thing.
It feels like all news articles are like that now.
Yeah. I was just using it as an example.
Yeah, it's kind of the quintessential sort of example, but yeah, exactly. Just give us the information. We don't need the spin. A lot of it's like hearsay and conjecture anyway. Telling me how I'll feel about something. It's like, no, I don't need you for that.
Some of it was conjecture and hearsay on like the actual things that you would consider facts too.
I know.
It's like,
I agree. I said that at the time too. I said that's total hearsay.
It's just like, if you don't know, you shouldn't be saying that. Like if this is going to put people's jobs on the line, like why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
They need to start watching. Whoever wrote this needs to start watching Judge Judy. Okay. Because she'll let you know when something's hearsay. She doesn't always explain what hearsay is, but she will always tell you when you're testifying hearsay. So,
yeah. Maybe they need to go through each of their posts with Judge Judy first.
I would like that.
Then,
she's a smart lady.
Yeah. She knows a thing or two. She is a judge.
She is a judge. She was in the family court system.
Yep.
Yep. She was on the Norm Macdonald show too. Very good sense of humor. Yeah. So, yeah.
I didn't even know he was sick.
Yeah, I didn't either. Now that we brought the whole room down,
Yeah.
out the door. Yeah, I mean, again, okay. So, final thoughts, Carson, before we wrap up. What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are this. My final thoughts have not changed since the start of the show. And
camera.
my camera has just...
it's when you start like saying stuff too. It's always when you, anyways. Okay, sorry.
My final thoughts haven't changed basically, and it's that this entire thing is very clearly coming from the perspective of someone who does not like the system.
Yep.
And is clearly making like assumptions and extrapolating things based on a very small amount of core information.
Yep.
And you should try and figure out what that core information is before you come to a conclusion on what to think yourself. And I think that it would be weird for a company like Games Workshop to make like a sudden rash decision on a product that is making the money actively. Like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any... Like, you think purely from a greed perspective. If Age of Sigmar is resulting in profit from them and it's only getting better and better, why would they be like, let's change a bunch of shit?
Right.
That sounds like a good idea. Let's piss everyone off. Why would they ever do that? Like,
although they do that with the rules. Sorry.
I mean, kind of.
I'm just kidding. Sorry, I should interrupt.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, I don't know. Just, you could probably safely disregard all of this and just wait for it to come out as GW is meant to present it.
Yeah.
And it would be far more palatable.
Oh,
so,
that's 100% true.
The thing, you have to think of like when someone is sharing information with you, what do they want? Right? Why is this person sharing this information in this way to you? Right. And based on it being so negative, it's not a good wholehearted reason. Right.
No.
And so with that being the case, it's not really worth taking every word as like fact.
No.
Just because it's meant to piss you off.
Yep. I think that's true. I mean, and speaking, well, I'll speak for myself, not necessarily for you. At the end of the day, of course, these are all rumors. It doesn't matter how many times. I don't know how many times Boole has been correct. I'm more aware of White Fang and that person's correctness and accuracy. So at the end of the day, all these rumors are just rumors. They mean nothing until GW actually comes out with something, even no matter how reliable this person is and how other people have corroborated, whatever. Parts of this, none of it matters. It's like when I was starting to I was formulating my ideas for the first novel I ever wrote, and and I was asking my brother and my wife about like what they thought of my ideas for a novel, and their response was, well, if you do it well, it'll be good, and if you don't, it'll be bad. And I'm like, that goes without saying. But ultimately, that's true about this whole thing. All of this could be true, and they could just freaking nail it. You could write a story, that has parts that are from the perspective of a tapeworm, which is, actually happened. Like that's in the novel Trainspotting, right? like that'll never work, and then it's a best-selling novel. So like it doesn't matter, you can write a book. I'm listening to a book right now, The Martian, and it's 95% of it's from this guy who's alone. It's his log from being stuck on a planet by himself, and how he's, growing potatoes and stuff. And you're like, God, that sounds horrible. And then it's really quite good. So at the end of the day, we do have to wait and see, but I feel quite positive about the idea of a major shakeup in our universe that I love so much, And as someone who's always been a huge proponent of Age of Sigmar's lore and stories, despite being well aware of its weak points and failures, I'm excited to see what they can do, and I just hope that they put the resources and talent behind whatever they do, even if it has nothing to do with the last world and all of this is BS. I hope that they do that, because I think that Age of Sigmar, the universe, is more fertile ground than the old world, the world that was or whatever, and Warhammer 40K, and yet it clearly sells the worst. And so I think that there's better fertile ground for good stories in this universe, and so that's what I want to see.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, thank you so much. Judge Judy ran until 2021, and then now she's got a new show, and I think it's still on, called Judy Justice.
Judy Judge.
It's like Judy Justice, I think it's called.
Gotcha.
She's got a purple robe. And my mom watches Judge Judy, so I get exposed to all of this. I used to hate on her, but I'm like, she's pretty smart. Like, you know, I didn't want to give it to her, but she's just so annoying. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Is there anything before we head on out, Mr. Carpson?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Have a good week, everyone.
Great week. We'll see you guys next week. Or else. Yes, or else. You heard it here.